Okay, hello, welcome. Hope everybody is doing well. Just finishing getting set up here. Let me give a brief introduction after saying hello to Shinigami. Hope you are doing well. It's good to see you. Shinigami says, "How is stuff?" Stuff is going pretty well. I was sick for a little while. I think mostly just ironically, despite my time off, I kind of pushed myself too much in terms of trying to get a bunch of housework done, a lot of paperwork done, and so basically I kind of like do this yo-yo or rubber band thing where I'll like go like I feel like I have nothing to do and I'll get depressed, and then so I'll like overstimulate and just do a whole bunch of stuff all at once and then get burnt out and just keep kind of going back and forth. So I got to find balance, more more balance with that. But I did play through Sekiro again recently. I think I might start playing Sekiro on stream eventually. It's an amazing game, and I think Naruto fans will probably get a kick out of it because you're playing as a shinobi, and there are references to things that have a significant overlap with what's like some of the imagery and stuff like that within Naruto as well. Obviously, like Shintoism and Buddhism and stuff like that that kind of come up. Or is it more correct to just say Shinto, I think, than Shintoism? But anyway, gonna be drawing some more. That's great. Storyboarding, that's awesome. Light and L showered video. I think you sent that to me a little while ago. Yeah. Maybe inspiring for certain power scalers. Considering quite a few power scalers have come out recently as bisexual, this is great. I think we need more representation in that regard. So I hope it winds up being satisfying for people. Don't take that out of context. Okay, so what we are going to do tonight is taking a break from Naruto content, at least for tonight. We've been doing exclusively Naruto content for a while, so now we're going to jump over to games. And specifically, I want to talk about Halo Campaign Evolved. You may remember about a month or two ago, I did a stream where we compared the graphics in the original Halo Campaign Evolved to the Anniversary Edition in the Master Chief Collection. And then we also took a brief tour of some of the changes that they put into the trailer for the Silent Cartographer in the remaster, or the remake, right? Campaign Evolved. Okay, so before I start, I guess I should just give a brief background for people who might not be familiar with this game. Halo is a really, really good first-person shooter. It is, if you didn't grow up with this game, if it just like missed your generation or whatever, it's the original game was titled Halo Combat Evolved, and that title partially alludes to the fact that for the time it was revolutionary. Like a lot of stuff that you see in the game is probably going to seem pretty old school, pretty like default now. But a lot of what Halo introduced at the time was pretty bold and pretty new for its time. So it was one of those games that was like really inspirational. You might have heard the term Halo Killer. Halo was so successful that all these other companies, they would brag that a given game that was coming out that they were going to promote as being, a great FPS. They would describe it as the Halo Killer, right, for their console or whatever. So Halo basically set a benchmark for the industry for a long time. I think 10 or so years ago, they released a collection called the Master Chief Collection, which is what I'm playing right now for the time being, although we're going to go to the remaster, or the remake in just a second. The Master Chief Collection is basically just a bunch of games bundled into one, going all the way from Halo Reach up through Halo 4. But for Halo Combat Evolved, aka Halo 1 and Halo 2, they remastered the graphics and they remastered the audio. And the way that they did that was they kept the engine exactly the same. They just plastered over or like painted over with new visuals and new sounds. And you can switch between the old and new graphics at any given time. So that's what we were doing in the previous stream. We were playing through a level and we were basically just like swapping back and forth between the old and new graphics. But the game is the same under the hood. It's the same engine, the same AI, like everything is functioning exactly the same because it's just a paint over. Now with Campaign Evolved, which is this new Halo game that just came out, it is a remake of the first game. So it's a remake of Combat Evolved. Rather than the Anniversary Edition, it's remaking the very first Halo game. And in theory, the game is being remade from the ground up, right? Rather than using Bungie's engine, Bungie was the studio that originally made the original Halos. This franchise is now owned by Microsoft, and Halo Studios developed the game dev studio that developed Halo Campaign Evolved is called Halo Studios, otherwise known as 343 Studios. Okay. Anyway, history lesson is over. So the idea with Campaign Evolved with this new remake is that it was supposed to be a complete rebuild from the ground up. So they were going to go into Unreal Engine 5 and they were going to remake everything using the latest technology. And see, the idea was that, like, okay, we're going to get this fresh, brand new, but still fundamentally faithful game where you get to imagine, you get to play Halo the way it was always supposed to be, right? The bones, the architecture, the soul of the game is exactly the same, but now it's been brought into the modern era. They didn't really do that. What they did was they took the Halo Reach engine, which is the fourth mainline Halo game to come out. It's 1, 2, 3, and then Reach. I think it might have been ODST first. I think it was 1, 2, 3, and Reach though. Um, and then they took that engine and they plugged it into Unreal. So basically, I'm oversimplifying it here, but basically, think of it like a plugin or like an app within an operating system. They have, when you load up Unreal, it loads up all the source code for Halo Reach under the hood. And so, what's actually causing the enemies to move around and projectiles to whiz around the level and stuff like that is Halo Reach, not Halo, the original Halo. So, a lot of stuff changed in the code from Halo 1 to 2 to 3 and then to Reach, and there was a lot of things that just don't really fit. You can very easily find examples of like enemy animations and behaviors and personalities and stuff like that that don't fit. Voiceover was brought in from Reach that totally doesn't fit the script, doesn't match with the tone or the aesthetics or the narrative of Halo 1. And in addition to that, they also had a bunch of outsourcing companies working for them. So they had at least 2 level design and art companies, 1 audio company, a couple other groups that would kind of come and go that basically just like would render assets for them. And it was very difficult, from what I understand, to keep a consistent sense of direction and coordination between all those teams, because you had all these people working in different parts of the world at different schedules, time zones, and stuff, and basically just delivering assets and then being let go. So what we have in Campaign Evolved is a weird hodgepodge kit bash that was, I guess, like falsely advertised, in my opinion, and winds up not being the original Halo, not really being a remake, not really being a remaster. It has a real identity crisis, and it's very difficult to explain. But as I was playing through it, I played through till the 4th level on PS5 earlier, and I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but something was just fundamentally off about the whole experience. And I realized that it was something that I really wanted to talk about and analyze with y'all live on stream. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to go back to the original Halo CE briefly. We're going to play through the first level, maybe spend half an hour to an hour on it at most, because rather than providing like a whole full-scale analysis of the original game, I just want to get a sense for the rhythm, the flow, like how does the game tell you that you're about to get hurt, and how does it let you know that you have been hurt? How does it feed back that you're like out of ammo and that you need to get more? How frequently are you getting pickups for ammunition and for grenades and stuff like that? How are enemies like distributed? What's their behavior? What's their personality? What's the overall feel and vibe? And then I want to go right from that into the same level back to back in Campaign Evolved, in the remaster, remake, whatever the fuck you want to call it, in this weird Frankenstein version of the game, and compare the overall feel to it. I want to compare it with the previous experience fresh in my mind. And in doing so, there will be 2 main things that I want to evaluate. Number 1, does the game Halo Campaign Evolved, the new version, does it hold up and does it have a place in the modern gaming landscape? For somebody who has never played a Halo game before, what does it offer as an introduction to the series? Is it effective? Does it present anything to a new coming, quote unquote, naive player, meaning that they don't have any experience with the franchise, compared to other games in the FPS genre? That's number 1. And number 2, how does Campaign Evolved is it a faithful remaster? And if so, how? And if not, why not? And that is something that's going to be a little bit harder to answer, which is why I wanted to have the original game fresh in my mind. So let's do that tonight. Let's try and get through the first level in both versions and talk about it. If you guys find that format interesting, we'll continue doing that for the next few streams, or we can just do a full playthrough of the remake. But I want to make sure that we do at least the first two levels, because those were the ones when I was playing on PS5 before. I was like, oh my fucking god, like I can't believe this. Like I was just, my partner was sitting next to me trying to do work, and I was just like, like I haven't raged at a game this way in a very long time. So I was playing on heroic on PS5. I think the heroic mode on the remaster is way easier than I remember heroic being on classic. So I might go back down to normal, but I want to at least try to see how this experience compares specifically, because I think in yeah, in the campaign evolved, they do actually fucking increase the number of enemies and stuff like that. So I want the experience to be relatively comparable. That being said, let me say hello to Slimy Orb, Bird vs. Aliens, The Ultimate Battle. Yes, I will do my best to stay alive. Last time I played on easy and I kept fucking dying, so I'm not above, like, reducing the difficulty. It turns out it's actually way easier to play this game when you're just, like, white-knuckle gripping the controller and raging down in your living room, as opposed to actually trying to pretend to be intelligent online and talking to people. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. Halo's the reason why the genre has what it has as a baseline. Yeah, absolutely. There are certain games that come along, like Halo and Half-Life and Doom, that just, like, you know, you can go back and you can nitpick and you can identify. Like, I think that there's a couple of levels or parts of levels in this game that are bad, meaning that, like, they don't hold up today. They're not fun to play. They're super annoying. They're not clear. I don't enjoy them. But think of now, like, project 25 years into the past and understand this game, like, in that context, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, they were it yes, you can say that that part of the game is bad, I guess, but you're more saying that, like, the best achievements of the games industry at the time had peaked around this level, because there wasn't really anybody else doing it much better at that time. If anything, Halo was innovating on the level design front as well, right? So it's important to keep that context in mind. Saw your comments. I wasn't here when you started properly. Oh yeah, I read the comments up from before. Thanks for saying hi. I hope you're doing well. I'm glad you're going to be drawing. Also figuring out a world building element. Yeah, that's awesome. Rules are so difficult and we have more. Yes, absolutely. Oh, like a runic writing system. That's cool. Slimy Orb says it's like Metroid and Castlevania, where they probably aren't the start of the genre, but they had such an impact. It's now based on them, well built on them. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Like I tried to go back and play Symphony of the Night a year or two ago, and I didn't like the feeling of it. Like, it was super clunky compared to what I'm used to, and I just, like, couldn't get into it the way that I did when I first played it, like, I don't know, 5 or 10 years ago. Let's be honest, more like 10 years ago. But when I played it the first time, I fucking loved that game, and it's like there are certain things that I think we're just spoiled on. Like, we have like an embarrassment of riches these days, and it can be, I guess, like, sobering to realize just how rough around the edges some things were at their time. But even despite that, man, it holds up really well in a lot of ways, especially in, like, the art and the atmosphere. And I don't know, it's important to recognize you can go back and play the first, like, Modern Warfare game and play it online multiplayer and be like, oh, okay, this is kind of primitive, this is kind of basic. But at the time, the idea that you could, like, have RPG mechanics in a first-person shooter was insane. It's like, what are these guys doing? Putting in progression systems? You can unlock guns in multiplayer? What the fuck is wrong with these guys? And lo and behold, it revolutionized, like, online multiplayer, right? So, yeah. Yeah, I think, Shinigami, we've talked about the Ellen Light video in a previous stream. Oh, the magic in Norse mythology. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. I actually have a fascination for that as well. I'd be curious if you know anything about the Hellblade Senua saga. Sacrifice saga, and then I think there's a third one, right? Anyway. Yeah, so here we go. Going back to the OG, we're going to be playing with classic graphics, and I will actually try not to fail horribly this time, but we're going to be, you know, taking our time to comment on things. So I like the fact that we see the ring initially. The planet is in shadow. You know, let me actually not apply my own opinions. Let's just talk about what we're seeing. Okay, so we see the Pillar of Autumn come up, and wait, I'm sorry, I don't think I have the audio set correctly. I turn the music. Yeah, okay. So This is probably going to be too loud. 1 second, let me just adjust this. Okay, so save settings. Okay, yes, it's John Halo. Oh, dude, red versus blue. Yeah, I think I mentioned that my partner and I don't know how I managed to convince her to do this, but she watched all the way through the end of the chorus arc with me earlier this year, and man, I love that show so much. Okay, there we go. Yeah, let me know how the volume is. Don't want it to be too loud or quiet. It should be good. So we see the Pillar of Autumn from the outside, looking in. Zooming down towards the view station.
Did we lose them?
I think we both know the answer to that.
Cortana and Keys. Keys surveying his domain over there. Come at him from the side and up.
We made a blind jump. How did they...
Get here first? The Covenant ships have always been faster. As for tracking us all the way
from... Slimy Orb. My favorite character is... a name that should be familiar to you. It's Caboose. 100% Caboose.
No one could have missed the hole we tore in subspace.
Okay, so it looks like he's kind of looking at the panels, the controls, evaluating what's going on.
Where do we stand?
Our fighters are mopping up the
Relatively simple tech on display.
But I've isolated approach signatures for multiple CCS-class battle groups. Make it 3 capital ships per group. And in about 90 seconds, they'll be all over us.
Well, that's it then. Bring the ship back up to Combat Alert Alpha. I want everyone at their stations.
Everyone, sir?
Everyone. And Cortana.
The only correct choice. Yeah.
Let's give our old friends a warm welcome.
I've already begun.
That's kind of cool. Everything is relatively understated.
All combat personnel, please report to your action stations.
Well, that's cool. We get to see the ship being waved off. Big hangar. We got a couple of tanks, a few pelicans swarming around. A little dark and dingy in the inside. Lighting isn't all that intense. Feels like everybody's just kind of mobilizing, like getting ready. Okay. Worth noting that, oh, that's cool. We see the vehicles. Right, okay. So we're getting a preview of, like, what the vehicles are going to be like later on. Hey there, Crowley Lucifer. How's it going? Thanks for stopping by and checking out the stream. Hope you're doing well.
Here's where we show those split-chin, squid-head sons of bitches that they could not have picked a worse enemy than the human race. We are going to blow the hell out of those dumb bugs until we don't have anything left to shoot them with. And then we are going to strangle them with their own living guts. Am I right, Marines? Sir, yes, sir! Damn right I am. Now move it out! Double time!
Attention all personnel. We are re-engaging the enemy. External and internal contact.
Okay, he's like moving out with them. All right.
All you greenhorns who wanted to see Covenant up close, this is gonna be your lucky
Obviously, like, some of the graphics haven't fully transferred over to modern standards. Yep.
Whoa. Sir? Right. Let's thaw him out. Okay. Bringing low-level systems online. Cracking the case in 30 seconds.
It was always a little weird to me that we hear this theme when Chief
Blowing the pins in
is woken up, because to me this, like, monk chorus theme is the theme of The Ring. You know what I mean? But maybe I'm misinterpreting things. No footstep sounds there. It was a little weird.
Come on, we've got to get the hell out of here.
So yeah, so it's skipping the calibration because we already did that. Sorry, let me just fix the VSync real quick because I'm noticing some tearing. You guys shouldn't have to deal with that. Where the fuck? 1 second. I always... Okay, here. Oh, it is on. What the fuck? That's so weird. Okay. Well, sorry guys. I feel like I'm seeing some tearing on my screen. Maybe that's not coming through. Hopefully not coming through on the on your end. Yeah. Okay, so we have a fire, we have an explosion. Obviously the graphics are not exactly modern, right? Nice clear indicator of where to go, the green coloring and everything. Okay. Kind of going down into the dark, little what the fuck? Oh, sorry, I didn't need to do that. Tab switches the graphics between old and new, right? I think I will actually reduce... No, I'm debating whether or not to reduce the music, but I think I should probably play it at, like, the default settings or whatever. Let's see. Slimy Orb says, I also don't know if it was your first time, if it was your partner's first time. Oh, I had watched the series a lot before, but it was my partner's first time, yeah. The reaction, I was actually, like, re-watching it on my own, and got back to that part where, like, the Leonard Church reveal, I'll call it. And then I was like, oh man, this is so fucking cool. I didn't realize how really immaculately well done this was. My partner would probably like this because she likes sci-fi stuff, right? So then I was like, oh, we have to watch this together. Slimy Orb says maybe it could be to imply that his power and abilities are able to have as big as an impact as the rings. That could be, right? It's like, it's a theme that's like meant to indicate reverence and awe and stuff like that, right?
Master Chief, sir, the situation is secure here. You'll probably need it somewhere else.
Okay, so obviously, like, the facial animations haven't, like, super well held up, but we do have a pretty clear indication of where to go. I like the fact that the Covenant, we didn't really see what they looked like at first, right? And it's also pitch black in here. It's kind of intimidating. We're kind of, like, wandering through the dark, trying to find our way in the hallway. Everything is kind of, like, dim and dingy. Okay, so now we see our allies fighting, but we don't immediately see the enemies. Now we see them. Okay, well, we're behind cover, so... I think natural inclination, some players might be inclined to try to jump over to them, but you can't really get past here, so, and the blast doors are closing. Okay, so I think that they're selling the idea of, like, the ship is sort of gradually, like, turtling up, you know, kind of going down into lockdown pretty well. Barricades forming up.
ASAP. Better follow me.
Okay, Dubbo, let's go.
Whoa!
Wounded Marines over here. Little coughing animation. Sometimes I like to just stop and look for little details like that. See what kind of environmental storytelling is going on. Okay. I think it's important that they actually took the time to render a couple of wounded soldiers. Okay, same thing over here. So I could try and, like, go through here, but it's blocking me. So there's enough room for you to take some damage and also to gradually start to see more and more of the enemies. So they're being revealed to you at a pretty nice pace with, like, little tidbits kind of being shown your way. Obviously, there's some glitches, okay? Although I don't know if that's something that... See, I kind of wish we were playing it on the original Xbox to really get the full experience. With that being said, you know...
Captain Keyes is waiting for us, sir.
So I think it's important to recognize that we got quite a lot of useful... setup and environmental storytelling and stuff established pretty cleanly, pretty simply. Now we're gonna head into the bridge. Okay, people at their desks, at their jobs, doing their shit. Okay, looks nice. I think we can actually go right down here, and there's a secret down here, if I remember correctly. No, okay. So there's nothing down here right now, but this is actually kind of terrifying. I love, like, looking at stuff like this. We can see the ring. It's right there in front of us. It's rotating. Okay, gotcha. So yeah, so let's go back up here. Dr. Keyes. Notice how he's just kind of standing there waiting for you to approach him. And the cutscene transitions once you get close enough.
Good to see you, Master Chief. Things aren't going well. Cortana did her best, but we never really had a chance.
A dozen Covenant superior battleships against a single Halcyon-class cruiser. With those odds, I'm content with 3, make that 4 kills.
Jonathan Halo Smith.
No thanks to your driving, yes.
So you did miss me.
Report!
It must have been one of their boarding parties. I'd guess an antimatter charge.
Ma'am, fire control for the main cannon is offline.
Captain, the cannon was my last offensive option.
All right, then. I'm initiating Cold Protocol Article 2. We're abandoning the Autumn. That means you too, Cortana.
While you do what? Go down with the ship?
In a manner of speaking. The object we found, I'm gonna try and land the Autumn on it.
With all due respect, sir, this war has enough dead heroes.
I appreciate your concern, Cortana, but it's not up to me. Protocol is clear. Destruction or capture of a shipboard AI is absolutely unacceptable, and that means you're leaving ship. Lock in a selection of emergency landing zones, upload them to my neural lace, and then sort yourself for a heart transfer.
Aye, aye, sir.
Which is where you come in, Chief. Get Cortana off this ship. Keep her safe from the enemy. If they capture her, they'll learn everything. Force deployment, weapons research, Earth.
I understand.
The Autumn will continue evasive maneuvers until you initiate a landing sequence. Not that you'll listen, but I'd suggest letting my subroutines handle the final approach.
Excellent work, Cortana. Thank you. Are you ready?
Yank me.
Good luck, Master Chief.
Your architecture isn't much different from the Autumn's.
Don't get any funny ideas.
I don't keep it loaded, son. You'll have to find ammo as you go.
Cool. So I think that overall, you know, that was a relatively simple cutscene. There wasn't like a ton of insane production value or anything like that, but it was well written, it was well acted for what it was. There was a lot of, it felt very natural, like the characters clearly have a relation, like an existing relationship with each other, an existing rapport, and you can get a sense of what that is and pick up on things like, okay, Keyes clearly has a history of being stubborn and maybe like not listening to Cortana's advice, but he also trusts Cortana with certain things like calculating the approach vectors or whatever else. You're given a weapon but with no ammunition, so you are ensured that you will have at least a weapon to and the melee capability by the time you leave the area, right? Oh, actually, oh, you do actually have ammo, so I wonder what that was about. But yeah. So overall, you know, a little primitive, I guess, a little simplistic, but very, maybe restrained is a better way to put it, but still very effective, right? Feels perfectly reasonable. Hey there, Spicy Boy, it's good to see you. Hope you're doing well this evening. Slimy Orb asks, are you a person that thinks Red versus Blue should have ended after Chorus, or did you enjoy the later seasons? So I saw, I think, was it season 14 that was basically just like, the kind of experimental one where they, like, every episode was a different art style and a different, you know, different narrative and stuff like that. I actually really liked that. There were some that I didn't like as much, but I liked the kind of open-ended experimental nature of it, and there was some stuff that I really did, where the hell is, oh, it's cute, yeah. There was some stuff that I did actually genuinely really like. And then the arc after that with like the fake reds and blues, there were parts of that that I also didn't like 1,000,000% love, but I still thought it was worthy. You know, it still felt like genuinely quite like a faithful continuation of the characters and their story and stuff like that, you know. And like Caboose basically spending all that time trying to make a machine just to like, just so he has a friend, you know, to like build a machine to give him his friend back. That was cool. Like really sweet and very Caboose, if that makes sense. I also didn't, I didn't really feel like, what was I gonna say? There was some stuff with the time traveling pizza stuff later that I didn't like quite as much, and I think that's where I fell off. I didn't really get much further than that. That being said, oh wait, hang on a second. Sorry I hasn't joined streams in a while. Yeah, I think she mentioned that she's very busy with school and just hasn't been like around for, like, her schedule just hasn't lined up with ours. So, I think she's doing okay though. Dr. I literally have a Dr. Pepper right here on my desk. How dare you slander the doctor? Unacceptable. Yeah, that pipe actually for the time probably did cost mad graphics. It's worth noting, I think, that like the original team did take the time. This is something another YouTuber pointed out to me, that like they actually have these dispensers with the different types of food that that you can have delivered. I guess they're probably like MREs or something that just wind up getting dispensed through there. But there's little details like that. There's I think there's, maybe it's just in the remake, but there's trays, I think, that are like meant to be on the table, stuff like that. There's also weirdly like bunkers or whatever these things are, these emplacements for cover. But yeah, there's a lot of nice little environmental details. I just want to reflect, because I was yapping the whole time, that when we came in here, the tactical space here is very simple but quite effective, right? So just looking at the layout of this room, we have some very clearly defined channels. Like there's a clear space there, an obstructed space there, a clear space there with an obstruction, and then another alley down there. We have these areas which could potentially be used as cover, but you can also see through. So it's not the sort of cover where, like, you know, you're compromising your vision just to get away from enemy fire. And there's a good amount of, you have plenty of opportunity to like weave in and out of these tables while attacking enemies that are at you know, at shoulder height or at line of sight versus enemies that are a little bit below you, you know, like the grunts. So this very you know, confined, constrained, whatever space is actually doing a great job of teaching, of like encouraging movement and traversal through the space. And if you watch what the Marines are actually doing, you know, some of them are, they're kind of like idling around, but they're also like taking up position in corners at angles. The enemies themselves were kind of moving around pretty nimbly. The elites were dodging and rolling and stuff like that. They all felt like kind of predatory. Predatory? I don't know why I said like predatory like that. The projectiles from the grunts are pretty quick. They're really like zipping over there. It's still pretty easy to defeat. There's a little graphical glitch there. Unfortunately, he's clipping right through. Oh. Let's keep going. Hopefully the mouse twitching, I know I'm a very twitchy gamer sometimes, so hopefully it's not disorienting. Let me know if you want me to reduce the sensitivity. The Marathon references are more deadly than Covenant Armada. Oh man, I actually don't know much about Marathon, apart from that there is a recent game by that name, right? I know that it was an earlier Bungie project, obviously, but I haven't engaged with the modern version at all.
Nothing over here.
What the hell? Did something just hit us?
Move in! Back to the airlock!
So something that I think gets kind of, how can I say this? One sec. Let me focus on the combat for a second. Okay, so the elite's running for cover, or not for cover, but he ran to that node, and they ducked behind cover, and then he rolled out while crouched. Okay. The music changed to that nice little tubulum track. Okay, so there are a bunch of them kind of bunched up there. So I could have potentially benefited from throwing a grenade. Nice, it was pretty satisfying. I think there's there's an overshield in here. The overshield activates on pickup, which is cool.
They're using our lifeboat airlocks to attach their boarding craft. We go out and they come in. Clever bastards.
That's interesting. Like, Cortana does seem to have like a baseline of respect for them, despite that they are enemies. So far the game has not taught us to use a flashlight yet, and at least I don't think we received a tutorial pop-up for that. So I imagine quite a few players will be kind of going into these dark environments and basically not knowing to turn on their flashlight and just kind of have to brave it out with the emergency lighting being their only source of illumination. It was time travel, but more possessing the different themes through the timeline. Yeah, and like, I didn't dislike it per se, but I did definitely find it a little less appealing, I guess. So this is also a very simple choice, but so far the game has been funneling you along one path. You can go towards the Marines, or you can go over here. I think the game kind of does a nice job of funneling you this way by putting the assault rifle there. And if you do, you have an opportunity to flank the enemy. So this is a great way, I think, of teaching the player that, like, okay, you don't always just have to follow one particular line of like one linear pathway the entire time. And in fact, there might be advantages and disadvantages, because if I were to stay behind here with the Marines, I would have the advantage of cover. But if I understand that the Marines are like already sort of protected and safe in their emplacement, then I can take advantage of that and flank the enemy, and that puts me more at risk if I get discovered. But at the same time, it's like more tactically intelligent, I think, and also potentially, like, how can I say this? It's just like taking advantage of your squad mates more. It's just like very quietly, passively teaching you, like, hey, the squad mates that you have are probably going to be an asset to you. And then here again, like, I could take this, but the more obvious choice, the way that the game is kind of pointing you, is in this direction. Almost like it's encouraging you to pursue, like, exploring different options. But this time, the enemies are actually facing you, so it doesn't keep it the same. It kind of mixes it up, right? So I think they're like kind of subtly egging you on towards like more exploration, and just eventually when you get to the next level, things are going to open up really dramatically, really quickly. So teaching you that it's okay to explore other avenues and to like you know, make decisions like that make sense. I also like this cover emplacement a lot. I think this is really smart because, you know, this object here being right in the middle of the room is such an effective piece of cover. Like the fact that it is slanted lets you kind of practice with positioning around odd objects and be like, okay, so what happens if I go over here? I'd have to crouch. Okay, if I go over here, then I have, you know, an easier sight over the enemy. I don't know how to describe it, but it just like feels genuinely like smart of them to introduce more cover objects that are more complex or at odd angles, because it's like, again, it's very the goal of an intro level or tutorial section or something like that, in my opinion, should be to quietly start to equip you with everything you need to be successful later in the game, right? And I think this is doing that very effectively. So far, you know, that elite, it feels really fast, really vicious. The shield being used there is obviously a new threat, like a new mechanic that's being introduced. The elites are so like nimble too. Okay, we got another. We just almost ran out of overshield, but now we get a chance at another one. Oh, that actually kind of sucks that the overshield doesn't like refill itself if you have any left. Oh, sorry. This is going to be a marathon game at some point, says Spicy Boy. That game has AIs being really plot important too. One of the AIs is one of the main villains, and Cortana was going to be one of the original ones. There was like clues and stuff after the last marathon game had become Halo. Not canon anymore to Halo or Marathon, but Bungie staff put stuff on fan websites that were entries talking about it. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. I really do like, on the one hand, like that is cool. On the other hand, I am kind of glad that it branched off and became its own thing. Although if it wound up being a shared universe, that would be cool too. Slimy says the season after the time possession doesn't exist to me. Oh no! To give you a idea on how bad it is, Tucker shows up to die for a moment just to lose his sword, then comes back to life. Oh yeah, that seems unfortunate. Oh dude, I never knew that. So these things actually like reflect bullets. That's cool. Look at that. It's actually sending the projectiles out to the wall. That is so cool. Somehow I never noticed that before. Or maybe I did and I just forgot. But yeah, so if I stand in front of this, it's gonna hurt me. That's fucking cool. Also, notice that, like, I mean, this is obvious to anybody who's ever played this game before, right? But like, if I shoot with this, all the stuff gets repelled. But if I shoot with this gun, right, immediately turns red. Red seems to indicate to me that it is potentially going to break. Okay, so we're getting a little bit of, you know, visual coding that, like, okay, these shields can be damaged, and if so, their damage state will be represented visually. And also, shields are more weak to certain kinds of, they're more weak to certain fucking kinds of, weapons, and maybe stronger against other kinds of weapons. So maybe keep that in mind, the game is telling us. It was close. I really do feel like any one-on-one encounter with an elite could potentially kill me if I'm not careful. There aren't really all that many enemies at any given time per encounter. But, oh shit, they get stuck? No. Oh, that was the, yeah, okay. The grenades feel pretty well choreographed. It seems like or well telegraphed rather. If a grenade is coming at me, it looks very clear, very obvious. I feel like I have enough chance to react to it, at least so far. Things got quiet, a little ominous.
On the landing above us.
Okay. Okay, so that's actually an important little teaching moment there, right? Like, I just popped my head up and I was totally surrounded, and I had a chance to correct that mistake by falling down. So nice little implicit tutorial about the use of space there. I think it's also nice that we have an instance where the enemies are above us and we're fighting uphill, right? And we have allies that are helping us out, but we have to also make sure not to, like, have them get in our way, you know, like, keep them out of our line of fire. Yeah, the elites are really hard to hit, actually, comparatively. Let's see. Attention is diverted. Come in for a quick melee. All feels good. Okay. Yeah, so this feels challenging, but it feels like crisp and responsive and fair. And I love the assault rifle is just great. It's just like a bullet hose. It's so satisfying to use. Let's see. Slimy says another thing that Season did was just ignore Wash got brain damage and by hand waving it away. Yeah, I feel like that was an interesting premise, and then maybe they didn't really capitalize on it as well as they could. The final season retcon seasons 15 to 18 to potentially non-canon with the option to see them as canon. Oh, like a multiple universe type thing. The timelines still sort of match up, says Spicy, to where you could headcanon them being the same universe, but they they are better off being separate now, is that what you're saying? Though Destiny and Marathon are canon to each other. Oh, that's cool. I didn't realize that they would have had their rights, like legal rights to both franchises. That's cool. Kind of nice for fans, for sure. Technically, also season 14, but most of it was on canon anyways. Yeah, that it kind of felt like it was a little bit looser with things. Although I do remember, I couldn't like give you a plot summary, but I remember at the time really enjoying the Captain Flowers stuff, like that backstory. So this is also like just my opinion. I don't know if this was intentional or not, but it does kind of seem to me like, so you'll notice that some of the aliens, namely the little grunts, they speak English, but the elites, the larger ones, speak their native language. And I think for this game specifically, their language was made by just taking the voiceover lines of Johnson, one of the human characters, and then just like pitching it down and reversing it. So if you play those audio files back, they will just be regular human speech. So I mean, you can look at that and you can be like,
Life pods are launching. We should hurry.
there's a life pods, yeah. You can look at that and say like, okay, well that was kind of lazy or whatever. That wasn't really that wasn't all that amazing. They could innovate on that. So I think it makes sense to have like new voiceover for the elites and have it be more special or something. I think it would have been a great opportunity for them to look at that and say like, oh, okay, cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to like invent a Sangheili language. Sangheili is the official name for the alien species in their own language. So they speak Sangheili, right? The thing is, they actually invented a new language, like they came up with a Sangheili language for the TV show. So one has already been designed and implemented. Also, they could have just made a new one if they wanted to. So yeah, I don't know. It feels like a missed opportunity that they just made them speak English in the remake. Although they do eventually start speaking English as soon as Halo 2. But for Halo 1 specifically, it really feels like I don't know, something about them being a little bit more alien, I think, is compelling to me. Having them not have human speech makes sense. Okay, so I think I might actually need to turn on... Oh, no, I don't need to turn on the flashlight. That's cool. Okay. Okay, obviously, like, we're supposed to use a flashlight, but this is almost like... I guess, like, flash strobe warning. Oh, there's some jokes on if the season is another simulation. That's cool. I do kind of like their penchant for, like, meta humor as well. This is a nice little kind of tense section over here. I think this is a secret area, right? Or did I just go in a loop? So this is the sort of thing that I don't think holds up as well from the game design standpoint. Like, I do think that there's a lot of just like fucking corridor mulching. In other words, just like constantly, you know, being like walking around in these nondescript tunnels and corridors and trying to figure out where the fuck you're supposed to go. That winds up being a lot of the core experience of the game, unfortunately, in terms of level design. So there's definitely parts of the levels that really shine as being extremely well crafted and doing a lot of good environmental storytelling and like quiet player instruction stuff. But then there's also a lot where you just feel like all the Marines are gone now and there's no voiceover coming over the comms or whatever, and it just feels like, you know, we're still going, we're still mowing down enemies. Like, it's totally fine for the first part of the game, but you know, eventually it'll probably be like, you know, when you get to like level 6, level 7, and it's just like constant corridor shooting. Eventually, it does start to get a little fatiguing. Oh wait, hang on. Nope. The fuck is my flashlight? Okay, I won't worry about it for now since the game hasn't taught me. I don't think we've seen any jackals yet. We've just had these like 2 particular types of enemies. Okay. And now I need to back up. To be fair, playing Devil's game dev from a non-game dev, specifically the section is on a big giant ship, so you probably would go through large corridors with not a lot of stuff Star Trek style. Yeah, that's fair. I think I'm being like... it's less of a problem with this level specifically, and more like by the time you get to the library or whatever, and you're still going through corridor after corridor after corridor, it starts to build up over time and be less compelling. Right? But for now, this is actually totally fine. Right? And keeping in mind that, like... especially for the time, right? Whoa! Forgot about that. Okay, so having these dynamic events that the ship is like actively exploding makes a lot of sense. Adds to the tension. That's good. This is all basic stuff, right? But I think it's worth calling out. Okay, flash warning, strobe warning again for people who are photosensitive. You know, I think I actually just to avoid issues for people who are potentially photosensitive. Let's see. Mouse and keyboard. Okay. Where the hell are the... oh, the bindings are here, obviously. Okay. Zoom, melee, throw grenade. It's 4? Okay, that's weird. Okay. No, notice, like, for later, that in the upper right, there is a flashlight gauge. Slowly depleting, I believe. Yeah, there it goes. Spicy Boy says, yeah, true, on the first ride back in the day, you're going, whoa, graphics, on repeat playing, it's a bit tedious later on, like the lab sections at the end of RE2. Yeah, exactly. Like, and this is all, like, benefit of hindsight and stuff like that, right? I will say that, like, even though the graphical fidelity of everything, it obviously isn't up to modern standards at all, like, you can read everything very clearly, and if I let my eyes blur a little bit, like, what my brain really winds up focusing on for the most part is just like, oh yeah, there's an enemy over there, and it's moving, and it's clearly visible, and I understand what it's doing, and like, I can clearly see where the cover is and stuff like that. So like, everything is very crisp and clear and easy to parse. But even if it's not like the most beautiful thing in the world to look at anymore, it's also like very responsive. Like, you can like, every time you land a hit, you can tell the enemy's responding to it very clearly and very like obviously. Everything just feels very simple, and once you start to, for me anyway, like I don't even really need a super high level of visual fidelity if it's going to come at the cost of that clear legibility, if that makes sense. Now, I'm not saying that that's necessarily the case with the remaster, but I am saying that, like, I don't find that, like, I'm not having fun because the game is ugly, right? It's like, that wouldn't even occur to me. The sense of, like, the motion is fluid, the action is responsive, gunplay is satisfying. Notice my flashlight is about to run out, so I have to recharge that. Okay, so now I got some friends with me. That's great. Oh, now I died. Okay, so to be honest, I don't know why I died there. That was a little frustrating. Keep that in mind because it's going to be relevant for the remake for sure. Did my partner see the chorus twist coming, or were they surprised? No, they were really surprised. Yeah, same thing. I think they figured out that the church twist about like halfway through that arc, or like I forget what season specifically it's unveiled in, but like I could tell they had kind of figured it out, but didn't want to tell me because they didn't want to like disappoint me because I was super excited about the reveal. But yeah, also a nice little kind of quiet grenade tutorial here. Pretty obvious, like throwing stuff from behind cover. You have a nice big supply, plenty of chances to make mistakes while learning the ropes. Nice. multiple branching pathways. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's season 6 specifically. Yeah, so if you heard that human voice going wah, right? One of the fucking elite death sounds is literally just that line pitched down, right? So they were a pretty scrappy team, Bungie, in the day, and they sometimes I think they had a limited set of options, and they had to try to be like clever with those options, if that makes sense, like be economical, right?
Now would be a very good time to leave.
Punch it.
Ah, sir. We're disengaged, going for minimum safe distance.
We're gonna make it, aren't we, sir? I don't want to die out here.
Look.
Do I agree with the notion about realistic graphics haven't gotten better to a significant degree since PS3, PS4 era, and the leaps aren't that big and overhyped in realism? Yeah, I will say that, like, fidelity continues to increase. But, I mean, like, think about going from NES to SNES, think about going from SNES to N64, then to, like, GameCube or whatever, and I don't know, think about, like, when I remember when fucking, like, Stalker Shadow of Chernobyl first came out, and, like, some of the initial previews had the idea that, like, you could shoot a hole in a wall with one of your weapons, and then sunlight would pour through the hole, or something like that, right? It was just the idea of there being, like, dynamic geometry like that, and that the lighting would respond to it in real time like that, was just fucking crazy. It was insane, you know? And nowadays it's like, you know, completely trivial, but I think we're kind of past those major leaps in graphical quality. Like, if you look at the Last of Us 1 versus the remaster, it's like, you can tell the difference, but you don't need it, right? But going from the original Tomb Raider game to the remaster of that, well, there's obviously a massive leap there, right? So, okay, so that is level 1. I'm going to now switch over to the other game. So let me, I'm still here, but I'm going to go back to the start idle screen temporarily while I get this set up. Yeah. So overall, you know, I found that the game was relatively challenging, but overall fair. It felt pretty consistent. It felt like a nice spread of encounters and enemies. I felt like the game was teaching us quite a lot without saying too much. Overall, it was relatively restrained, I think due to the limitations of the time, but it didn't feel, it still felt like it was, I guess, like, elegant in the way that it was able to tell its story with the tools, and maybe despite the limitations that it had at the time. And yeah, you know, overall, I'm pretty positive about it. I think it's still fun. It's still worth playing. I enjoyed it. So obviously I'm biased, but yeah. Let's see. Yeah, so Spicy Boy, to kind of recap, I do think that graphics are going to keep getting better, but honestly, I think higher frame rates is going to be the next, well, I don't know, like, I'm not an expert on graphics specifically, but, like, the biggest thing to, like, impediment to me immersing myself in a game these days is usually, like, frame rate more so than graphics. And really just, like, a stable 60 or higher frame rate consistently adds so much more to an experience, to me, than just having, like, 1 second, what the fuck is this? There we go. Okay, yeah, actually trying to get the shit on screen here. Okay, there we go. Just, like, means so much more, you know? Like, I would much rather play, like, Sekiro at 60 FPS than 30 FPS with ray tracing, for example. It's just, like, I just want smoothness and consistency personally. But yeah, I don't really know. I feel like we're starting to plateau, right? Like we've come so close to photorealism that I don't know how much more space or how much more room there is for us to for there to be like an oh my god, I can't believe that's a video game anymore. It's just we've kind of made a lot of those leaps already. But I would love to be proven wrong. But yeah. Okay, so for some reason, not getting game audio. Cool. Why am I not getting game audio? Did I somehow turn off the game audio? I did. What the fuck? Okay. Alright, so, now we're just gonna play like we did before. There's a couple of things that I find a little irritating right off the bat. First of all, something about the way that this is designed, these objects and the camera perspective and the how fast it's moving and stuff like that make the ring seem like a lot less large than it is. It feels a lot smaller. It feels like a spaceship. And I remember seeing that you know, one of the artists or something was actually pointing that out as well. One of the original Halo artists was like, I don't understand why they did this. There's something about the way that the that things are just like displayed. Like this scale over here does not match this scale over here. It makes everything just kind of look really weird. There's a couple of minor things that I noticed on PlayStation that I'll be curious if they transferred over here. So if you go into accessibility, let's see. Maybe I shouldn't spend too much time on this. I will say I'm not... Yeah, I won't nitpick this too much, but I will say that there's certain things in here that are, like, redundant and awkward, and I was really unimpressed with the overall approach to some of the UI stuff. I was trying to find the exact thing. Let's see. It'll be worth it if I can find it again. FX quality. I guess it's not on here. There's in the settings for the reticle and stuff like that, there was something that I found kind of amusing. Is it this? Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. So navigation points. So on screen we'll see these little chevrons or little icons or whatever that indicate where you're supposed to go. And you can turn them on and off here, right? Now, what's interesting is they don't just have like a option up here to just turn them on and off, like a check mark. In order to turn them off, you don't just click on the top here and turn it off. You specifically click on this item here. Then under the description for this on the right, it says these markers show you where to go in the game. You can set this to 0 to completely hide navigation points if desired. So you can't actually turn them off entirely. You just have to make them invisible, which is kind of weird. I don't know why they wouldn't put that as a checkbox, but anyway, not a big deal, except now if you go here, this says set the size of navigation points. These are the markers that show you where to go in game. These markers show you where to go in game. These markers show you where to go in game. Like, it's just this is so minor, it really doesn't matter, but like I don't know why they would show, like, have three individual slightly different descriptions of the same exact thing in the subtext or like in the description text of the individual items, instead of just having like a broad general description with a category on, category off, and then the sub menu items like that. It's just there's a lot of really weird, inelegant design decisions here, in addition to, like, okay, it's great that we have the previews over here for like the directional damage indicators and stuff like that. If I change the color, it'll update there. That's great. But what's weird is that there's other things that, like, so item markers, right? I had to turn these off because they were so fucking obnoxious. But there's no description of what this does, right? It's item markers is under navigation points. An item marker is not a navigation point. And there's no real description of what this does. For this one, we got 3 individual descriptors. For this one, we have nothing. So there's just like, I won't go through the whole thing, but I did spend like half an hour going through the menu and just finding like so many little inconsistencies and odd things. Like there's like a duplicate like I think under accessibility, yeah, there's like some of the settings here are just duplicated from another one of the sub menus. It's really weird. The overall UX in the front end is like just it's sort of uncomfortable. I don't know I don't know how to describe it. Shinigami says might sleep soon. Yeah, make sure to get some good rest. Hope you have a great night. Can't think of how to do your storyboards. Yeah, well, if you're having a writer's block, you know, no worries. Feel free to take a little bit of time and just relax, and maybe some ideas will come to you soon. Heavy Rain to The Last of Us is a much smaller leap, you know. Yeah, I forgot about Heavy Rain, but yeah, when that came out, like that's one of those games where it's like, or like Beyond Two Souls, where it's like, oh my god, I can't believe this. This looks just like a movie. Willem Dafoe's in it. He's from movies, right? And now it's like that isn't as the leap from, I don't know, PS2 to that. Compare that to the leap from that to like The Last of Us, or to even what was that game I was playing the other day? Fuck. I don't know. The Last of Us is a perfectly fine example. Yeah, it's just not quite as dramatic. It's great, but I think, you know, the advancements, like the hurdles that we had to overcome, we've already gotten over so many of them. There just aren't as many left, I think. So I wonder if VR is going to be like the new frontier or whatever. I think Chief patting the soldier is super cute and wholesome. Yeah, there's a nice little wholesome moment there. Intern 212 is cooking with Thesaurus. Yeah, no, that's true. We got to make sure to have as many different variations of the verbiage provided as possible. Okay. Hopefully this actually includes the cutscene. I do like that they kept that sort of like ethereal glowing ring loading screen thing. Oh, this is pre-rendered, so if it's a little jittery, that's why. It was kind of cool to see the autumn like coming out of slip space, out of the portal. It's a little bit more explicit storytelling, but yeah. See, I think those are long swords. Seeing the long swords on display is cool. The damage to the ship.
Cortana, all I need to know is, did we lose them?
Gonna boost the game volume a little, sorry.
We made a blind jump. How did they
Get here first? The Covenant's ships have always been faster.
Test.
For
Okay.
tracking us all the way from Reach, at light speed, my maneuvering options
Movement
were
is kind of stiff. The schematics that he's looking at are kind of different. I don't know what that facial expression was.
No one could have missed the hole we tore in slip space. They were waiting for us on the far side of the planet.
So, where do we stand?
Our fighters are mopping up the last of the recon picket now. Nothing serious. But I've isolated approach signatures for multiple CCS-class battle groups. Make it 3 capital ships per group. And in about 90 seconds, they'll be all over us.
Cortana feels like sassier to me.
Bring the ship back up to combat.
Like the tone feels different.
I want everyone at their stations.
Everyone, sir?
Everyone. And Cortana. Let's give our old friends a warm welcome.
I've already begun.
I don't know why. It's weird to me. Okay, so like let me just say, I don't know why they decided to like show her butt like that. It's just really weird to me. But regardless, I don't know.
You heard the lady. Move like you got a purpose.
So Johnson stares directly at the camera while he says that. Instead of seeing the ships and stuff like that and the pelicans, we now get this suiting up scene.
Man,
Once we see the vehicles.
here's where we show those split-chinned, squid-headed sons of bitches. They couldn't have picked a worse enemy than the human race. We are going to blow the hell out of those dumb bugs until we don't have anything left to shoot them with. And then we are gonna strangle them with their own living guts. Am I right, Marines? Sir, yes, sir. Damn right I am. Now move it out. Double time. Woo, here we go.
Attention all personnel. We are re-engaging the enemy. External and internal.
It's weird to me that he hangs back here and he doesn't like move up with the rest of them. Like, we see him actively moving with them. Like, who the fuck is he talking to? Like, I don't get the choices they made there. Decisions they made there. It is kind of cool to see, like, the long swords or whatever they are, like, fighting outside. Like, this is cool. But, I don't know. It takes us outside the ship. So I think it's debatable whether or not this is, like, a good addition. It's cool, but it does kind of change the feeling. Overall vibe. I do think it is cool to see, like, the Mac cannons and stuff like that taking out the distant ships. The boarding crafts coming in like this. That's really cool. Somebody please throw a grenade.
Stop them! Stay cool, Mendoza. What do you expect, rifleman? You think this little pleasure cruise is gonna last forever? Man, keep your eyes downrange, fingers on the triggers, and we'll all go home in one piece.
It's really awkward for him to just be kind of like standing there while everybody else is doing the work.
Cortana to Cryo 2. Transmitting security code.
The
Bridge out.
somehow the voiceover is not in sync with the lip animations.
Let's thaw him out.
Really weird.
Bringing low-level systems online. His vitals look good.
Yeah, you're right, Slimy Orb.
Blowing the pins in 5.
It is really weird that she's like, she's waving her arms around, but she's not actually interacting with an interface. I guess she just has an interface off screen somewhere. Johnson is always an S tier character regardless of fidelity. Indeed, indeed. I mean, he's just got so much charisma.
Welcome back, sir. We'll have you battle ready stat.
Vital signs look
Oh,
normal.
sorry. Spicy Boy says, should have added a scene where John Soldierman and Bill Army are having a conversation. One of those goes, "Yo, Reach blew up, bro. Like that got it lit." Like that shit got lit the freak up. Like it's non-existent, broski. Yeah, that shit's fucking turned to glass. Shit has been evaporated. Top of it. Talk about planetary vaporization feats. Oh my god. Fuck. This sensitivity is way too much. I'm sorry. 1 second. It's a 2.3? Holy shit. Why is it like it's crazy?
I just have to reset the computer.
Okay, that's still way too high. What in the fuck is happening? 1 second. Down to like 1. Okay, it should be good. Make sure that VSync is on. It is. Okay. Maybe put that 72. Okay.
Out of here. Oh god. They're trying to get through the door.
It's still a little.
Security.
Oh, what the fuck was that? Oh, that's right. So there's like DLSS is on, right? Can I turn that off? Hi. Okay. That's right. So I have an NVIDIA GPU. I don't want to do this. Okay, so I immediately noticed something that I didn't notice on PlayStation, which was like a weird ghosting effect around that door. I'm also getting stuttering that I didn't notice before. Yeah, whoa, like that stuttering is not good. It's like hitching. And my understanding is that is due to DLSS, so I really hope that is something that doesn't become a huge problem, because right now I'm not loving it. But yeah, this corridor is pretty great. You know, nice dimly lit hallway. I think it's actually got like more contrast and more you know, intensity compared to the other one. There's more fire, although there's like these weird pixelated dots showing up in the fire, but whatever, I'm nitpicking. Shout out to the UI designers who did a lot of great work kind of bringing these panels up to a more modern spec. Like they still have that kind of retro future, like Aliens the movie kind of look to them, but also like look at how much detail there is on there. Like look at all of the individual things that they thought to include. We got engine burn rate, well I guess 3 engine burn rates, but yeah, just a lot of love and care was obviously put into there. They got that scan line effect going through them. It's pretty cool. sound designers thought enough to put, you know, the sound of the fire here. Obviously, it's little basic things, but still worth noting. Music feels about the same. Oh, did I get further in One Piece, or have I been taking a break? I've been taking a break. I think I just kind of burned myself out a little bit, but I will get back to it. Okay, so fire and explosions, that's fine. Double doors closing. Let's see, what's our first look at the Covenant like? It's just a ball of fire. Okay, so that's pretty faithful, I think, right? Like, it kind of sucks that they said the Craven hides, like, it makes them feel a little less alien. Something just disappeared from the ground, didn't it?
You're probably needed somewhere else.
This is all basically the same. Character looks different, though. And also I can... Oh, yeah, that's something weird I noticed, is that, like, if you can, if you look at something and then you look down, it, like, weirdly angles your view downward. Like, on a... I don't know how to describe it, right? It's not just, like, straight down. It's, like, up and over a little bit. So you can actually, like, if you position yourself right, like, you can look into NPCs' heads and shit. Or just, like, get way too uncomfortably close to the gun. But anyway, yeah. So far, so good. Where are you in One Piece, if you don't mind me asking, says Spicy Boy? I am... I think chapter... Chapter shit. No, I read past Long Ring, Long Island to... Oh, I stopped where, spoilers, I guess, Usopp and Luffy were fighting over whether or not to leave. What the oh, I forgot about that. Okay, so, fuck you. not you, Spicy Boy. Okay, let me just say for the record, that absolutely fucking sucks and I hate it. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but basically, the game took control away from me. It put black vignette bars on the screen, and it forced me to watch the Elite doing a little song and dance. I don't know why. I don't know why I had to see that, but it, like, forced me to look at him. And then it sent the Elite down there, and it looks like I should be able to go there, but there's just an invisible wall. So, what, like, that's such a bizarre choice. Did you not think I would be curious enough to fucking look at it on my, like, look at the Elite on my own? So now these guys, are they going to move? Or they're just going to stand here? Right. So think about the way that the friendly AI was moving previously and how they, like, led me down the hall, like, double led me down the hallway and stuff like that. They're just fucking standing there. Right, so now, granted, if I touch them, if I, like, breathe on them, they will actually move. And what's funny, okay, so he's not doing it for some reason, but on PS5, I could get them to, like, constantly, yeah, to do that. Like, if you just, like, touch them, like, brush up against them, they will, like, complain about it. And sometimes you can slide them over the floor, too. But anyway, I digress. It was too elite, John. Master Chief was caught in the art of his little jig. Yeah, he was, isn't there, like, a gun in Ratchet and Clank that just, like, makes people dance, like, forces them to dance or something? It's kind of like that. So there's Dubbo. Okay, so he's kind of leading off, but he started running away before finishing his line, whereas before he waits for you to show off and then, like, blocks your way so that he's, like, acting as an escort. Okay, these guys are just standing there. Their friends are dying right in front of them. They're not doing anything. That guy's leg just glitched. like look. So I'm gonna try not to do the, like, this is different from that, and that is different from this thing too much. But while I am playing, what I want to remind folks of, like, the sort of the premise of the stream being that, like, let's evaluate this first of all as a modernization, a revamping, a retooling of a classic, and then let's evaluate this as a modern game, right? Like, imagine the original Halo had never come out at all, and this game had just hit the shelves in its current state. How would we evaluate it? Like, what kind of score would we give it? And right now I'm seeing kind of like, okay, there's a lot of nice environmental detail, right? Like, if you just take a look at this particular object, somebody spent a long time modeling this. Like, look at the scarring and the different, like, textures for distortion and warping. Look at the sparks coming out of it. Look at all those individual buttons and knobs and levers and how they fit the aesthetic so well. Look at the cracks on the screen, each one individually drawn in. You know, like, there's a lot of care and love and craft that's been put into the environments. These textures look really nice. The reflections are really cool, like the lighting and everything. The little details like this, like the smoke, the steam coming out of the vents, you know, and it's coming through the correct gap as well. The marks on the floor kind of indicating where to go. Look at that stuff, like those weird, what are those even? Those little flaky particles, like being illuminated by the fire. There's a lot of really great artwork here, right? And I think that needs to be acknowledged. And there's also, you know, kind of good sound design too. You can kind of hear Cortana's voice coming through the overhead speakers. Like I don't know if there are actually any speakers, but it sounds like it's coming through a PA system in the ship. So there's obviously been a lot of good work done here. But does this feel acceptable? Right? Like, does this feel like an acceptable iteration of an old game? And does this feel like an acceptable iteration of, or like an acceptable game to come out today? That this character would just stand there like that, and then you would be able to do that, right?
You're running. Hey.
Like, I don't know. It seems a little weird to me. Now, before I think the first space. Oh no, we haven't encountered Johnson yet, so that's or Keys yet. So again, nice details over here. Like we have a fellow soldier who has fallen. I don't think we actually saw a dead one before, so that's a nice enough little detail. Little uncanny valley there, maybe, on the facial expressions there. This guy with a hurt leg, and again, so like in the original game, right? There wasn't a whole lot of graphical fidelity on the characters that were wounded in this space. But now, 25 years later, granted that this is a minor character, granted that this is like not something that really matters all that much, does this seem acceptable, right? Like, does this character holding their leg and emoting that they're supposedly wounded, does this environmental storytelling feel like it's acceptable? And what you'll notice, I think, as we play through, and does that facial expression match what's happening and stuff like that to current standards from a major studio that's working on a franchise that's existed for 25 years? So, like, where and how are we calibrating our standards, basically? That's what I'm concerned about. Like, what are you looking at? What is going on with you? I don't know. What I think you'll find pretty frequently in this game is that there will be amazing work done in certain areas, but then the shit just, like, doesn't come together in the end. Like, okay, art team over here, somebody is telling a story here, and this is a story that wasn't being told specifically in the original game, right? I don't think we saw these bloody footprints here, and the fact that there's like a big pool of blood here and the footsteps kind of like scuffle around and shuffle, this might mean that somebody was like melee attacked here, or something. I don't know. Like, you could come up with your own story. It would have been cool if you had then seen like blood dragging over here or whatever, but like they clearly cared enough to go through here and to try and do some additional storytelling, right? And that's important to acknowledge. But then it's like, what's going on with that? Did you see that? What the fuck? His head was like coming out of his ass. And then I'm gonna watch the playback because I'm not. Yeah, I'm looking in the preview window. I want to make sure I didn't hallucinate that. In 1 second, it's catching up. Yup, his head was just coming out of his asshole, and then it just popped back. Like, do we not have the technology 25 years later to do better than that? So, something happened. Some lack of communication occurred, right? 25 years later, we should have been able to avoid that edge case. Okay. Now, I'm also irritated that they took control away. Again, I don't know why we're losing control of the character. Before we could explore the bridge, we can kind of come up on our own pace. Excuse me.
Good to see you, Master Chief.
Now it goes into third person and then back into first person and then back into third person.
Things aren't going well.
Like, what the fuck?
Cortana did her best, but We never really had a chance.
Master Chief has gotten the Genjutsu. It's too late. Yeah. Fucking Covenant Tsukuyomi.
Make that 4 kills. Sleep well.
No thanks to your driving, yes.
So you did miss me.
Did you notice that? So you did miss me. There's this like really dramatic cut in the voiceover. That's a huge problem. They clearly spliced 2 different audio files together. Design that simple complexity, but complex in a simplicity level. Remaster out of 5 stars. Yes, exactly. It is a remaster out of 10. 100%. Definitely one of the asters of all time. There's a TF2 melee called the Holiday Punch. It's a Santa-style boxing glove that makes you laugh, ho 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 style if you get hit. Oh yeah, that would actually be a decent like modifier or skull for the game or something like that.
Code Protocol Article 2. We're abandoning the Autumn. That means you too.
They could have made like 10 to 15 generic soldiers and used some of them throughout. Yeah, that could have been a good idea.
Speaking, the object we found. I'm going to try to land the Autumn on it.
With all due respect, sir, this war has enough dead heroes.
I appreciate your concern, Cortana, but it's not up to me. The protocol is clear. Destruction or capture of a shipboard AI is absolutely unacceptable. And that means you're leaving ship. Lock in a selection of emergency landing zones. Upload them to my neural lace. Then sort yourself for a hard transfer.
Aye, aye, sir.
Which is where you come in, Chief. Get Cortana off this ship. Keep her safe from the enemy. If they capture her, they'll learn everything. Force deployment, weapons research. Earth.
Weird that they cut to Chief's face instead of Key's face. When he says Earth, it's supposed to zoom in on him and give him a close-up.
Make sure my daughter gets this.
And then there's this. For some reason, he decides to give Chief like an ornamental, sentimental gun. And like it, so far up through chapter 4, it hasn't really come up much. But for whatever reason, like Johnson really wants that specific gun to get to his daughter.
Excellent work, Cortana.
I don't know why they added that. It's weird.
Are you ready?
Yank me.
I like how he's just there, like awkwardly waiting, like, am I supposed to do something now?
Your architecture isn't that much different from the Autumn's.
That's okay. I really don't like the fact that we don't get that like fade into white. That was kind of cool. It kind of reinforced the idea that Cortana was like getting into our head as well as the Chiefs. They omitted that for some reason. It's like a really weird choice. Also, I feel like the ring was like fully visible in the first game, like right outside the window. I wonder if that'll be the case here.
The Covenant have breached the command deck. We have to stop them from
okay,
taking
so
the bridge.
weirdly, they teleport us. This is cool. Like, I like the fact that they actually did, like, copy over all of the little, like all this stuff is kind of ported over from the original game, which is really cool. Nice little details there, right? Like, somebody thought to get this logo in there to render that. Somebody thought to put in the scan line and the visual effect there. It was really cool. Also, like, Late Night Gaming has an insane, or like a really great breakdown of all the insane detail that went into creating this room, all the little details. I recommend you check out the video on his channel. Again, that channel is Late Night Gaming. But just going through here, like, take a look at all of the information that was, conveyed in these panels. Each one of these is its own little work of art. Like, I would have these as a poster on my wall or something, you know, like, it's really great work. Some of it appears to be copy-pasted, but that's not necessarily, like, these ships over here, I think, are the same ones as over here, but that's not really like a bug or anything. They could just be looking at the same information from different perspectives. That's fine. They have this, like, topographical map over here. I mean, like, it's really cool. Like, they did a lot of really good work. That's a little unfortunate. That animation is goofy as fuck. But, you know, so that, you know, okay. Well, I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world. They're not really expecting you to spend that much time. I'll downgrade it from goofy as fuck to slightly unfortunate because, okay, like, now I'm really nitpicking. Also, let's take a minute and just listen to the sound design. We're not getting reinforcement for literally every gunshot and everything, but we are hearing more of the space battle. We are seeing, you know, like, more ships and stuff doing things, which is kind of cool. The only problem with this, though, of course, is that if you actually stay here to watch this cool visual feast, which you might be inclined to do because it looks really cool, you're not actually seeing any progression of the battle, which kind of contrasts with what we saw initially, right? Like, when the level first started, or sorry, when we saw the initial cutscene, what was kind of cool was that sorry, we saw 2 of these Covenant frigates appear, like 2 of these, and then the Pillar of Autumn fired 1 Mac round, like 1 railgun round at one of them and just like took it out, right? So I guess the railguns are offline. I think Cortana said something about that too, right? But like, nothing's really actually happening here. The Pillar of Autumn just kind of like wasting ammo. It's not actually shooting at any enemy ships, right? We don't really see any explosions. The ships aren't moving. There's no real sense of escalation of tension or danger. So this is really just like eye candy. And when you think about it, it's cool to have eye candy. Like, I don't mind it. It's nice to look at. But there isn't any real storytelling happening with this that is dynamic, right? It's just set dressing. And the longer you stand here, the less believable it becomes. As opposed to before, like, all we saw was the ring. And the ring immediately creates this, like, it starts to build a relationship between the player and the ring earlier on. And you see it kind of on its own, kind of lonely, kind of just like hovering in space. That tells a very different story than what is being told here. I think it's a subtler story, but it's maybe a more effective one. Also, again, you can drop down here, and for some reason they paneled in the floor. So you can't actually see down into the deep abyss anymore, which sucks. I like that. That was a really cool moment. I like the planets. You know, it's kind of cool that we can see all this stuff here. They're very beautifully rendered. Somebody did a great job rendering this art asset, but also, like, so, like, I I want to see the ring. I don't know. Also, there's a skull down here. Now, you can pick up skulls in order to unlock basically mods that are built into the game, right? You can activate them from one of the menus, and you can change different things about the game. That's cool and all. But these motherfuckers are just flying around in space with a human skull underneath them. It kind of hurts immersion a little bit, right? Like, it's kind of feels like it might be a little weird for them to be doing that. Also, you can push keys around, so that's something. Why did they remove John Halo? Literally, John Halo is each one of these characters should just have been replaced with another version of John Halo, starting from 117 and going up to like 426.9. What's the video specifically called? Says Spicy Boy. I think it's just called the Halo remake video. It's one of the newest ones. I think it's like 17 minutes long or something. Also, I really don't like how they changed the relationship between, like, Keyes giving you the gun. So he gives you a Magnum that's fancy and shiny and says, give this to my daughter. But he doesn't say, like, here, son, you can have my pistol. You'll have to find your own ammo. And instead, you take the pistol from a wounded Marine, right? Who's not saying anything or emoting. He's just kind of like in this idle pose, and it's next to him. So you're taking the weapon of a wounded soldier who clearly, like, can't move, and depriving him of his ability to defend himself with no interaction with him whatsoever, instead of having, like, this little kind of like father-son relationship with Keyes, just so that they can, like, I don't know, sell this narrative of, like, him giving a fancy gun to his daughter for some reason. Now, one of the things that they did add that I really like, actually, is the fact that you can, like, shoot the methane tanks on the back of the Grunts' backpacks to explode them, which means that you can actually use the Grunts' bodies themselves as, like, improvised explosives, which is actually really cool. I like it a lot. Okay, so the lighting is much darker in here. Well, somewhat darker in here. I guess it's more dynamic. one of the major changes in the remaster in the remake is that every weapon has ADS, aiming down sights. So I'm going to. I fucking hate the assault rifle for. I don't fucking hate it. I strongly disagree with some of the changes they made to the assault rifle. Let me put it that way. But I will refrain from rambling about that for now, to just focus on how ADS changes things. So remember before when we came in here, right? There was a few, channels, and there was a few. So there were these things that you could hide behind. The enemies were down there, and I think we actually started at this side of the room, and then we saw that there was like an obstruction in the middle. Okay, so they basically kept things the same. But even though I'm on the same difficulty level, there's a whole lot less going on in this room right now. Like, the battles seem to have already happened before I got there. So it seems like the squad AI are engaging with the enemy, and maybe like the game is just letting them finish the encounter before I even get there. But now let's see. So this weapon is essentially completely different, right? Like, I can basically stay at a distance on the same difficulty level, and I can just use the sort of controlled burst fire method to just pick these guys off with no real repercussions. They feel like much slower. They feel much chunkier, like they're not rolling and bobbing and weaving quite as much. I don't know, there's something off about them. But again, graphically speaking, like, we have these like cafeteria trays that were added. Unfortunately, it's not making a sound. But whatever, it's animating. I love the fact that not only did they put in these like food dispenser things, but they actually have a custom animation and state for them if they break during combat. Like, here's what they look like normally, but then if you break them, it adds like sparking visual effects and sounds and stuff like that. So I mean, like, and they even added like this little shake. Really good, like really good work. Like, somebody thought of that. They could have just left these as like these drab, bland things, but they spruced them up a little bit. And hey, maybe you like the old ones better, and that's totally fine. But they added like the dynamic response. That's great, right? Like, somebody thought about that. Somebody cared. So for anybody out there being like, Halo Studios didn't care, they hated it, like there was no passion, no love, like, fuck yourself, like, sorry, but there is obviously like a ton of care and craft that was put into some parts of the game. Maybe some parts didn't like really fully come together at the end of the day, but that doesn't mean that there was no love or care and that some people didn't do their jobs. Also, kind of cool that they have I think this is for the, I don't actually know, it's 7.62, so I think it's maybe meant to be for the assault rifle. Let's see. Yeah, okay, so that's cool. Like, these ammo cartridges actually do have, like, I don't know, they're designed kind of coolly. It's pretty neat. Yeah. Let me catch up on chat real quick. Could have given him the gun, and then after the cutscene, the soldier on the floor could have conked out as you approach him, and he died. If they want to change it, then it's not awkward. Yeah, 100%, right? There are ways to still get the shiny gun for whatever reason. They wanted to have that be the MacGuffin, but then also to make that moment with the Marine feel a little less awkward and soulless, I guess. John, did you see what I said? It was after Master Chief being in Genjutsu. Oh, that is Guns Caliber. Whoever has it is the rightful ruler of Space Britain. I'm sorry, I think I'm missing the reference there. Sorry, dude. I will say I like this hallway. Like, look at the smoke coming in. That's kind of cool, right? The smoke's kind of like billowing in. It does kind of look like the smoke is almost like a little weird about it. Like, it's not fully volumetric, right? It's just like a flat, like looping texture. But still, it's cool. Like, this hallway, I like this hallway a lot. I don't know why. The lighting is great. I'm gonna not talk about Sprint just yet. I will talk about it eventually. So now we're behind this elite. He's so, he's like so, he's like not doing anything. Like, wasting all that time, like, Fortnite emoting.
The damage to the superstructure is extensive. I don't know how much more abuse the Autumn can take.
I'm making an Excalibur joke for the general or whatever one of that specific time. Oh, okay. Sorry, I totally blanked on that. My bad. Also, I would be curious to know. So they decided to add ADS for all the guns. For some reason, they have, like, so in later Halo games, you can aim down the sights with certain Covenant weapons, but like when you do, you go into a scoped view, which looks kind of like this, and they made the sound effects and the visuals for the scoped view distinct from in the Covenant weapons from the UNSC, aka the human weapons, which makes sense, right? So you're actively looking down the visor, or like through the scope rather, of an alien weapon. But as you can see here, like John doesn't actually move his arms up or anything. Like he's not looking through the iron sights or through a scope on the assault rifle, right? He's just zooming in with his visor. But then if that's the case, then why does him zooming in, because he is not looking through a Covenant scope here, so there's really no reason that I can see why the UI should change to look like a Covenant weapon, like diegetically. Now obviously you can just argue that, okay, it's the game's way of telling you that you are zooming in with a Covenant weapon specifically, but it doesn't really make sense in terms of world building, in my opinion, because it's like it just breaks the in-game explanation, the diegetic explanation of what's supposed to be happening. That makes sense. That stuttering was really bad. I do like the fact that we get to see this happening.
There's 2 of us in here now, remember?
That Cortana line was nice. I don't think we heard that when I was playing on the other version. The enemies do feel threatening, like I took a lot of damage there. And I do remember that basically being the same as before, right? There's a bunch of them kind of clustered up all together. The elites just like aren't moving around as much either. I'm not quite sure why that Marine said weapons free when we were right into the thick of things. I do really love this contrast of colors. The green and the purple are like really good together.
I've created an interface patch that will let you use the device to augment your shields.
I don't really have a problem, I guess, with the tools being like overshield and inviso, whatever it's called, active camo, being, you know, you can just like turn them on whenever you want and carry them around with you, like prosthetic tools almost, without having them automatically you know, activate. I think that makes sense. I think Cortana's explanation there was kind of awkward. I will say that this little hallway here, again, they're really good at making hallways. Like, look at the way that the lights flash on and on and shit. Like, I don't know. I really love this hallway. Spicy Boy said, there's one bit I really liked in the cutscene. The look Keys gives in the monitor between the Cortana talk and giving the gun was one of the most human expressions I've seen in the cutscene. So, yay. Yeah, that's great. I agree with that. You're talking about in this version of the game, right? I think that's fair to say. There's, like, I love his, like, steely blue-gray eyes, and, like, he definitely has this, a look about him of somebody who has a lot of emotion brimming underneath the surface, who's, like, keeping it down and trying to keep it together. So there's a lot of enemies there, so grenade time. So obviously, like, looking at the enemies in this particular way, or like at this moment, they're all reading relatively clearly, but they're a little less chunky, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense. Okay, so we do have the option here to go left or right. For some reason, I'd be curious if other players have this experience too. For some reason, I didn't feel like pulled this way the same way I did in the other version of the game. I think with these being moved forward a little bit and just like a little wider and less directly lit, I didn't feel that the choices were as like the communication was as clear about like my different tactical options there, but that's fine. It's a bit of a nitpick. I do really like the explosions on the backpacks. Ow, shit. Because like I think that it's a very small change, but it adds a lot, right?
Check. Keep firing.
Okay. That time the door didn't even open, just kind of like forcing me to go to the next area this way. So I'm just kind of feeling like the elites are just like not really interesting right now. They're just kind of like blobs of meat in my way. Wait, what's that? Oh. Sorry, I got distracted there for a second. Okay. I think the grunt was standing in the fire and it was hurting him. Hear that? Yeah, the stupid grunt is just standing in the fire, taking damage. You see what I mean though about the elites? It's like I just like stand still. Like I don't even really have to track them for the most part. They're not like bobbing and weaving and dodging. They're just like kind of broken. And this is on the same difficulty level too, so it's not like, yeah. One second. I want to write down what time that bug happened at, because I want to start like making a compilation of bugs as I find them. But give me 1 second. So that was at the 142. Let's just say 140-ish mark. Grunt yelling in fire. Okay, go. Okay. What's funny is like I didn't even feel like the need to use my overshield at all, whereas it clearly depleted significantly in the first game. I feel more like I'm being funneled in one particular direction so far, but let's see. So that's actually a decent way to okay, fuck. That's actually a decent way to get you to start exploring side avenues. I will say it feels like I got burst down like way too fast almost there. That makes sense. Like I'm not entirely sure why I died. Something about the hit feedback. Oh yeah, that's the other thing too. When that elite came after me before and he meleeed me, I'm pretty sure I have to like slow down the footage afterwards, but I'm pretty sure that the damage is actually applied in the first frame of the animation rather than when it hits me. So I'll try and let that happen again at some point. I'll let like another character melee me. But yeah, I think that like basically they put the anim notify, the like Unreal animation tag, to deal damage at the beginning of the animation instead of like, you know, turning on the hitbox and having it be attached to the tip of the gun or something, or like around the gun itself, and then having it only damage you after the fact. Which is really unfortunate because it means that like if you are near an enemy when they start to melee you, you just take damage, and oftentimes it's a one-hit kill. So you just like can't be close. You can't like see the attack coming in and then dodge out of the way. You're like either near them and you die. Like I kept dying over and over and over again in a couple of sections on PlayStation because that kept happening. I think in general, I feel like I'm hanging back a lot more and taking pot shots. Yeah, I don't think this music track was in the first game either, right? I don't remember hearing this. I'll have to go back and double check. There's also a lot of weirdness with the AI VO. Like, listen closely to what the characters are saying and why and when. Like, that grunt was the last member of the encounter, and it said, "Shh, cover me, I'm going in," or something like that, right? So basically any modern AI VO system should have checks in place for context. In other words, like basically when an AI is going to try to say something, it should check to see if there is a valid pattern that matches or a valid context that's applied, and then decide whether or not to or context that exists, and decide whether or not to play that voiceover line based on whether or not that context is validated. So basically what happened there was the the dude was like going forward, and so it was like, okay, I'm going to play a going forward line with no context, which was fine back 25 years ago, I guess, right? But today, right, like any sort of modern VO engine would be like, okay, I'm going to first check to see if there is anybody in my squad that I am talking to. If so, I'm going to see if I have a voiceover line that would be specific to, like, hey, you, I'm doing this thing, coordinate with me. And then the VO system would also see if, like, they had, that other character had a response. I'm shooting the corpses because sometimes they do weird things. And then it's like, that just doesn't happen here because in the past 25 years they didn't think of adding that additional piece of context. What's funny though is that I think we might have actually backtracked because I don't remember encountering that much in the original game. I'm gonna have to like listen for it very carefully as we keep playing. Yeah. I think personally I don't really love that the elites are speaking English, but also you could argue that it's an opportunity for some additional storytelling, right? Like, they specifically wanted these characters to... What the fuck? Oh, that's weird. Okay. They specifically wanted these characters to be able to, sound like they were religious zealots or whatever else, and so they gave them lines that tells that story. And you know what? If you prefer that story, if you like that storytelling, then there's something there for you. I prefer them being like weird aliens that you don't know anything about, that don't speak your language. But that being said, that's not the only way to tell a story. So these shields over here, I actually really like the visual effect that is working here. I love the little hexagons that you can kind of see. Like, you can only see them from certain angles or like when certain like energy flares through them. I do also like the fact that when you shoot them, this is super fucking cool. When you shoot them, you can see like energy ripples out from the point that you shoot them and then expands outward like concentric circles, like dropping a pebble in a lake. Really, really, really cool effect. The thing I don't like as much though is that, notice how I'm not getting hit. Notice how it's not actually reflecting the bullets back at me. And I don't think it's reflecting them off onto the environment either. Oh wait, it is. Okay. I think that one, yeah, okay, so it does. It does actually do that. It's just maybe the size of the projectiles is different, so it's not reading quite as well. But let me check on chat real quick. One bit really liked in the cutscene. Oh, hey there, is it Zoe Chris? Zoe Chris, am I saying that right? Thanks so much for checking out the stream. Hope you're having a good night. I am doing just fine. Yeah, I am reading chat. I'm sorry, I usually have a widget on screen as well, but for some reason it's still broken. I'm gonna try to fix that for the next stream. No, I keep saying that, sorry. But yeah, I'm doing well. I've been enjoying this comparison playthrough. I think there is a lot of stuff to love and to appreciate about the remake, but also there's a lot of stuff that I'm kind of taking issue with. So I think something that is a little bit of a mixed bag is that these things over there, right? Like the art assets for those Covenant deployable shields or whatever they're called, are, I believe, Reach assets. Like the code that's running them is from Halo Reach, and then it got like new graphics and sounds applied on top of them. And I think that might also be why like the projectile behavior is not the same as before. These, I think, I have to double check, but I think these canisters are also from Halo Reach. So there's a few things that like basically they had the collisions, the geometry, like the assets from Reach. Some of them were directly reused, some of them weren't. Some of them were brand new, some of them were like ported over and then like skewed, etc. But you can see like this piece of cover that we used previously, it still is kind of doing its job in like bisecting the room, but I totally went past this section without having that experience of like, oh, okay, I can tell the game is teaching me about cover here. I can tell that I'm supposed to be maybe looking over here and then crouching down here, right? Like, it was just sort of a thing in the way and then it was gone. Something about, I don't know what it is, something about the way that the AI are moving through the spaces and engaging with each other, it just isn't quite clicking the same way. And that's what I was talking about earlier on the stream. Like, something just feels off, you know? Also, I won't nitpick the audio there, but it is kind of weird that the sound of the ships is so loud flying by you compared to like the massive cruisers in the background, like that. Like that Banshee, I think, was probably supposed to be muffled. Like the sound of it wasn't probably supposed to be coming through the window. But on the other hand, we have this nice little table with physics modeled cups. That is genuinely nice. It's cool to see. Hey there, Damien. It's good to see you. Hope you are doing well. How is your evening going?
The life pods are launching. We should hurry.
Okay, let's take a look at this. Yeah, so I do...
Covenant are destroying the life pods.
So I don't know if you caught that, but oh yeah, they're just shrinking that mesh. You see that? So in order to get that mesh, like the fragmented part of the ship off screen, what they essentially did is they just like scaled it and shrunk it down in size and then made it disappear, as opposed to having it fly off screen or whatever. The thing about the life pod is that if you watch that footage back closely, what's happening with those life pods is that they are animated to start at the opening of this this hole, I believe, the whatever the exit point is, and then once they get to around here, they're scripted to be blown up. So if you look really closely, you can actually see them start to slow down as they get to the end of that animation, and then the next bit of animation starts, which is them exploding. So it's like, I don't know, like, don't quote me on that. Feel free to double check that and make sure I'm correct, but I think that basically, like, in the previous game they had multiple sorry, in the original version, they kind of synced it up more so that it told the story that they were, like, actively speeding away and got intercepted. Here, it kind of feels like they just get to their checkpoint to be destroyed. So again, it's like, the eye candy is nice, but what cost is it coming at, right? Like, what story is actually being told there? It's important. Also, I like this blood. This blood is good. Fire's good. I mean, like, the environments have a lot of nice detail. I like the way that the projectiles, you know, kind of come at you. You have time to see them, to react to them, to dodge out of the way. They light up the corridor too, like the little green light that comes off of them is really nice. There are a lot of individual parts of this game. Yeah, so what we just heard there was the sound of the Banshee flying outside. That's an audio bug. We shouldn't have heard that. But like at the same time, there's a lot of care and craft, and I think that's ultimately going to be the main like double-edged sword of this game. Is that Halo Studios essentially assembled a variety of very talented artists and sound designers and programmers and such in the form of outsourcers, brought them all together, and then if you look at the individual packages that they delivered, the individual packages are great. But then something happened between the delivery of those packages and then the assemblage of the full game into its final incarnation, and it's there, like the glue just isn't there to really bring everything together, and that's where you start to notice the cracks. That's kind of how I feel about it. But I mean, like, again, like, look, let me just gush about the art for a second. Look at all the detail in this in these objects, and it's detail that doesn't come at the expense of the atmosphere and the vibes, right? Okay, there's more lighting in here, right? There's more stuff going on. There's more steam. There's like heat distortion, stuff like that. But all of this like fits. It fits nicely. You're still kind of inclined to use your flashlight. Actually, the addition of these little lights along the side. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to bump the mic there. The addition of these little lights along the floor actually kind of makes sense, right? Like, they kind of remind me of like the safety lights along the aisles of an airplane. It makes sense that the ship would have some kind of internal emergency lighting like that. So that's actually a nice addition that I think fits the storytelling very nicely. Not to mention, you know, take a look at all of these little individual pieces of scrap. It's one of those things, like somebody actually modeled this hex bolt over there. You know, these are little tiny things that don't really affect the game that much overall, but I do want to call it, like, I'm going to be complaining a lot about the game overall, so I do want to shout out that, again, like, the individual teams did their fucking homework. The game being in the state that it is has nothing to do with a lack of care or passion or creativity or dedication or hard work or anything like that.
Get behind them. One melee hit to the back will neutralize most hostiles.
Okay, it's really weird for Cortana to say that. Like, that... there's nothing here for her to say that. That's, like, so out of context. Oh. Oh my god, did you see that? They all rotated in exactly the same time. That was so fucking weird. Okay, so one of them is running around. So the AI is really like the biggest problem. So that, okay, there we go. Now they all woke up. Okay, that was goofy as fuck. I actually, you know, it's a lot harder to see them in certain instances, but I actually think that like the darker lighting makes the grunts coming out of the woodwork and stuff like that pretty cool. I kind of like that. That's something that I think was added that wasn't really in the original, right? The lighting engine just wasn't able to really support it.
Motion tracker shows all clear.
Thank you, Cortana. Yeah, that tutorial for bashing on the back of the head or whatever, that felt really out of place. Or like melee attack from behind. Is it just me, or does it feel weird to hear Cortana say a melee attack like that? It's funny. Okay. So this is something, I don't know the significance of it in the lore, but this is a nice little detail that was added. Linda058 is a book character, and there's, you know, Petty Officer First Class Linda058. In the original, as we just saw, this room only really contains just a generic Spartan image, but here they actually put in a reference to another character. They have all of these cryopods over here. And then also, you can activate these little terminals. I think it's kind of funny that your username is just John117. But whatever, you know. I don't know what these do yet, but there are these new little additional things that you can find. And I do think that things like that are a nice addition because they don't really fuck with the flow of gameplay. They're just nice little bonuses that are kind of out of the way. They're unobtrusive, etc. But yeah, they're nice enough additions. Okay, so a couple of thoughts. This elite is really doing jack shit. I remember when we just played through this a second ago, like in the original, that I had come forward into this hallway and then felt like I kind of got caught off guard and had to sprint back. But like he's just kind of standing there and not really doing much. Like he's so fucking slow. That explosion was cool. Like that. So they added the ability for the They added the ability for the grunts to unalive themselves by what the fuck? By like activating grenades and charging at you. I just don't think it was. It's just something that kind of happens. It wasn't something that was like super very well choreographed or explained. But that's okay, I guess. It's just like I feel like maybe it's a little early in the game to be revealing that. My understanding is that they didn't have... they basically don't have a way in the script of saying, okay, now that we are at level 4 of the game, we will now give the grunts a new behavior, right? And now we will turn on their ability to run with grenades active, whereas they didn't have that before. So they basically just have to decide, okay, are we going to give grunts this ability wholesale or not? Now, obviously, like there's ways around that. There's ways to make that happen. It's not like impossible, but it's just really hard because of the team having to work with Reach code running inside of Unreal that presents certain limitations that just make things like that harder to pull off. So one way around that is they can basically make a subclass of the grunt where basically like they would take the grunt base class, like the thing in Unreal that is the actor called the grunt that you place in the world, and then just like essentially like right click it and do like new version and create a derived class, which means that like, okay, now you have like grunt underscore intro, right? And this will be a grunt that only appears in the first level of the game, and then you can override certain functions on that like subclass of grunt, change things about it, maybe even like make them all bright purple if you wanted to, right? And then that will only apply to the subclass and not to the like main grunt. But if you change like a feature of the main grunt, like you change their basic health, their base health from 400 to 500 or something like that, well then that change will get applied to the subclass. So this is a basic concept in programming called inheritance, where basically like it's very, very useful, if not indeed essential, to kind of define a parent class, which is like this is your overall like category of thing, and then you make subclasses so that any change that you want to make to the parent can propagate to the subclasses, but then you can override things in the subclasses. We talked about like weapons before, right? Like there will be a class called weapon, and then there might be a subclass like melee weapon versus range weapon versus instant trace versus projectile, and then those 4 subclasses will each have individual instances that will be the individual weapons of the game. Hopefully that makes sense. Also, I did want to pause here and just point this out. I kind of love this like snaky little bastard. This needs to be like a meme. I don't know how to make it happen, but this needs to be a character. This needs fan art. This needs to show up in one of Willie Osso's quizzes. This dangly little fucking intestinal worm just having a blast in the corner over here is my new favorite character. Okay, anyway. So I feel like some of the layout has changed a little bit. Notice also that as far as I can tell, there's no way to, whatchamacallit. Okay, I guess this encounter is just over. There's no, bar that causes your flashlight to decrease. You know what I mean? Energy. There's no energy or whatever. Shit. I got stuck on the Covenant thing. Okay. Alright, so just humor me for a second and just take a look at the... I guess you can't really see it now. But I was going to say, like, take a look at the motion tracker, because... I'm going to die. Because there's a lot of stuff going on in terms of number of enemies on screen. But when I was playing before and I was dying most consistently, it wasn't because... Oh my god. It wasn't because there was, like... an enemy that was particularly challenging or who outsmarted me or was too fast for me. It was just because I would show up in a room and there'd be so many goddamn enemies, right? So let's just take a look here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So there were like 14 enemies in that encounter. In this incredibly tight space. So really, I didn't feel like engaging with any one of these enemies was particularly meaningful or challenging or rewarding. It was just like a massive meat that was in front of me and I needed to mow it down. And the reason I was dying was because there were so many projectiles on screen at the same time that like I just couldn't put enough projectiles downrange fast enough to keep up with my opponents. I will say I do like the fact that you can kind of use these Covenant deployable cover shield things as improvised cover yourself. So I have to go back and also like double check the music, because do you guys remember if the music cut out at the same part in the original game? Okay, so here, all right. Wait, hang on. Put a pause on the music thing. So here is the place where we're supposed to be learning about grenades. I guess it kind of works still. Yeah, this is fine. That's fine. Somehow it feels lesser, but I can't exactly put my finger on why. Yeah, but isn't it kind of weird that the music just died out right there? Like, this is the climactic moment of the of the level. Starting to get towards the end of it. It just got really quiet when you're at the climactic moment. Oh, now we get some music. Okay. I have a feeling that a lot of the musical stingers and cues and stuff are just like not playing in the right places. But I don't know. Okay, then we lose a so those Marines weren't with us, so now it just transitions to a cutscene that doesn't represent like what's actually happening. Those elite, like, none of that stuff was actually happening on screen. Weird. The crew ran out of budget for music. Yeah, it was draining the ship's battery. So Johnson, like your dad, you know, driving, he's like, "No, we can't. We're gonna burn through our fuel. Turn the radio off. Turn the AC off. You guys will be fine. We'll get used to the heat."
We're gonna make it, aren't we, sir? I don't want to die out here.
Look.
Like that they kept that nice little moment. That's cool. So I actually really do like this shot. I do kind of wish it had gotten totally silent except for the music. The reflections in Chief's visor there are scuffed as fuck, but I mean, like, still. That's a really cool shot, like coming in from the side of the planet and everything.
What is that thing, Lieutenant?
Yeah, the scale does seem kind of off. I mean, yes.
I knew it. The Autumn's accelerating. Keys is going in manual.
What is with that shot? It also seems that, like, this is a total nitpick, but I don't know why they put the Autumn so close to the escape pod. Like, it almost incinerated us with his fucking engines. John Halo, where are you? I don't know. He's lost. He's lost in the void somewhere, Slimy Orb.
We'll be fine.
So again, they reuse that same musical cue and then it like cuts off. Something weird about that. I think it not showing up for a while makes more sense with that random asking what it was, but it's still John Halo. You can't ignore it until now. He's...
We're coming in too fast. Damn! Air brake failure. They blew too early. I'm losing her. Brace for impact!
I wonder if any Halo lore nerds out there know why it says UNSC Gladius on the side. Like, it's the Autumn's escape pod, right? Why is it say Gladius?
Chief! Can you hear me? At last. Are you alright? Can you move?
Okay. Yeah, so that was level 1. Honestly...
The others, the impact, there's nothing we can do.
There were some things that I liked and some things that I didn't, and honestly, I will say that, like, I think artistically speaking, the game does a pretty damn good job of sticking to the overall vibe of the original, and even where it diverges, it does so in ways that I think mostly capture the spirit of what it felt like to be in the Autumn, much more so than the original than the anniversary edition, at any rate, right? So I think that, like, as a tech demo, at any rate, visually speaking, like, it's clear that the, like, that's a little rough around the edges. It's clear that the artists, UI designers, you know, people working on textures, lighting, animations, for certain things, sound design, like, there was a lot of really great work done and delivered in packages that are identifiable as being compelling in and of themselves. I think that there is a real shortcoming when it comes to, like, the meta-human, like, stock Unreal faces and character poses, or, like, character, just the way that they handle faces is, like, really weird in Uncanny Valley. I think that there is a persistent problem with the way that the AI are being represented in terms of their movements, in terms of their overall feel. Combat feels completely different. It's really hard to put my finger on why, but like the assault rifle doesn't feel. It's a completely different weapon. It just like does not feel at all like the original assault rifle. I don't feel like I'm using the same tactics or maintaining the same situational awareness. And like in a game about shooting enemies, the shooting and the enemies have to be fucking great, right? Everything else kind of takes second place. Like obviously, you know, it being beautiful helps. It being modern and sleek and cool helps. But at the end of the day, that's not what's going to sell the core experience. I will say though, I do really like this vista a lot. I like how the mountains they like are start off as visible, but then kind of like fade away into the clouds. I think seeing like the borders or whatever kind of helps give a nice sense of scale. I think you know, it might still look a little bit too small compared to what I remember from playing the original game when I was younger, but still there's a lot of like something about this mountain range feels almost like it's bringing back that kind of melancholy, isolated, lonely wilderness of or like lonely object in Lost in Space. The wind sound effect I think is really good. Like they clearly chose an asset that feels like cold and lonely again. So this is hitting that kind of surreal vibe that like the original Silent Cartographer had. I think it's a little unfortunate to me that I have spent a good amount of time in the Pacific Northwest and also in the northeast of the United States. So this terrain looks very familiar, right? Like there's nothing about these bushes, but these plants, but these flowers, about that bird song that really feels alien to me. And I think it's probably because like I think there might be a lore reason I forget of like maybe this is something that gets introduced in later games, but the idea that the forerunners, who were like the aliens that came like that the aliens that created this ring in the first place, like specifically selected plants and animals and stuff like that from various other planets to kind of have their own little terrariums essentially. So there might be a lore explanation for why this looks the way that it does, but to me it just kind of looks like you know, as beautiful and as great work has been done on a lot of these individual assets, it's just kind of like Pacific Northwest, like national park vibes. You know what I mean? It doesn't really feel alien at all. That's really cool. Whoever designed this like aurora effect there should get a lot of points. If you look at the planet itself, you can also see that there's a liquid swirling surface, right? The planet itself, it's very, very subtle, but it does have like a moving texture on it. So, you know, points to that for making that feel more alive. That I'm sure took work. There's other things though that are kind of rough around the edges again. So like, let's take a look at the texture on that flower. This is something that I'm sure like nobody can really care about, but notice how it like stretches and skews out like that. Like watch. So like the flower, there's kind of like grabbing the rightmost third of the flower and just like stretching it like silly putty. And again, like, that's not unfaithful to the original. It's not like some grand betrayal. It's not something worth getting up in arms about. But it is kind of weird and unfortunate when you think about this game being part of a 25-year-old legacy. There's also other, like, weird polished things, like how come this bush here isn't animated? The grass is, the trees are, right? But there's a couple of things that just, like, kind of fell outside the system, it looks like. Certain archetypes just aren't like getting animated, and they probably should be. So it feels like, you know, there were just a few gaps in delivery. Oh, those butterflies just disappeared into the ether. Oh, I think I know why. Hang on a second. Let's follow this for a sec. Yeah, so now, yeah. Oh, that's really weird. If I look up too far, the butterflies disappear. What the fuck? Why? That is so fucking weird. So I think I'm just speculating here.
Covenant dropship inbound. They must be looking for survivors.
I think the reason for this is that the actual physical location of the butterflies in the world is probably like here. They probably have something that's called a particle emitter, which is just like an actor in the Unreal Engine that will spawn these things, which are called particles. And the particles can be whatever you want. They can be like little bits of electricity, fire, or they can be butterflies, birds, stuff like that. We talked before in the Clear Obscure streams about how they were using particles to spawn birds. It's the same, probably the same exact technology, right? Because it's Unreal Engine at the end of the day. And so if you get far enough, if your field of view gets far enough away from those assets, the game, for optimization purposes, is going to be like, okay, you're probably too far away to be looking at this thing, so I'm going to like just like unrender it. I'm going to essentially just hide it so that we don't like waste CPU on this unnecessarily. But the problem is that it's calculating that the distance as being the distance between you, the player's like point of view or line of sight, to the object of origin. So like the particle emitter in the world, as opposed to the individual particles getting played off of it, if that makes sense. Like, it's not scaling the spawned particles, it's scaling the emitter itself, I think. Now, there's a pretty bad audio bug with the Banshees over here. So, as we will see, I should probably run. As we will see later on, you should be able to so you can get in a Banshee, and in this game, I can't remember if it was true in the original, but in this game, you can boost in a Banshee, as you can in a Ghost. So basically, you get in the Banshee, and you'll be able to temporarily activate like a turbo mode, like an afterburner, right? And when you do that, it makes a sound effect to indicate that you are going faster, which is great. It should. It also changes the sound of the engine of the ship so that it goes into turbo mode. The problem is, not with the sound specifically, the problem is that something under the hood is telling the Banshee AI to accelerate, like to boost and then unboost, boost, unboost. And you notice that, like, those like little sparky visual effects, like those little like anime speed lines, which I never noticed that before, but yeah, they have anime speed lines coming off of them. They turn on when the boost happens. And so what's happening is that for some reason in code, these Banshees are just like randomly like boosting and then braking, boosting and then braking over and over again. And the sound effect, of course, is playing, and it just creates this constant spam. If they get stuck by a wall or something like that, it's just like constant, right? So again, I don't think the Banshees in the original game had the ability to boost. So this was something that was brought in as a result of, I think, putting assets into environments where they weren't really designed to function that way, and then not putting in the proper controls for like limiting that sound from playing so much. Or really, like, the real underlying problem is not even the sound effect, it's just the boost, you know, behavior in code. I will also say that, like, we should go back and play the original, but like, so far, like, who gives a shit that these Banshees are even here? Like, I'm right here, and they're not doing anything to me at all. Right? Like, they're not a threat at all. What happens to... Ooh, the rainbow. The rainbow's really nice, though. I like that. It's beautiful. If I stand over here... Okay, so now they'll engage with me. That one's getting stuck on the tree. Okay, I might die. Which is good. I should be punished for being a doofus. Okay. Okay. Are they going to follow me, or are they going to chase me? Because there's a big wide open canyon here. They could. No, they're just going to go back to looping around. So again, right, like, technically speaking, again, this is... We'll go back and check, but this probably isn't all that worse than the original game, because I don't know that the AI in the original game was all that much more complex when it came to the Banshees. But, like... I don't know, man. Like, is this acceptable? Is this acceptable for a franchise that's been in development for 25 years? Is this acceptable for a game that costs $50 in 2026? Okay, now it shot a few rounds at me. Like this is not okay, right? Like, you see it's glitching out now. These Banshees are just fucking broken. So I think let's get to the first encounter with Johnson and the Marines, and then let's switch back to the original and just check that out real quick. And there's a problem too, because you can still hear them off in the distance doing that shit too. I will say again, like, this area is beautiful, right? Like, these trees look really cool. The color, the lighting, the textures, great. A lot of stuttering though, that's unfortunate. Okay. Hey, yep, let's get to Johnson.
Good to see you, sir. I thought we were the only ones who made it off the Pillar of Honor.
Who's fucking talking?
Welcome to the party.
This guy?
We're scattered all
This
over
guy.
this valley.
Okay.
We called for evac, but until you showed up, I thought we were cooked.
Don't worry, Sergeant. We'll stay here until evac arrives.
Okay.
Excuse me.
What?
Warning, I have detected multiple Covenant dropships on approach.
Okay, so yeah, let's do the first dropship. Because I wanna check something about the Warthog, and I think this is like incredibly damning, but we'll have to go back and see the original too just to compare, right? Make sure I'm not being too harsh or whatever.
Oh man, they're everywhere! Hostile troop transport inbound.
I do kind of wish we would hear the voices echoing out into the area more, but whatever. It's a nitpick. Okay, so we have a new enemy type. This new enemy type uses shields to deflect bullets. So by now the game has already taught us a little bit implicitly about shields and energy and reflecting bullets and stuff like that, right? So what we've learned is that when shields, or at least what the first game tried to teach us, is that when shields take damage, they turn red, they glow brighter, and then eventually they pop. So that would seem to indicate, if we use that logic, that this red shield over there is closer to popping than the blue one. Let's test that out and see if that works. Right. So here's the red one. And it's not popping. Not popping. Okay, and there it goes. So it kind of feels like, I have to double check this against the original, but I think they just gave some of the Jackals red shields and some of them blue shields, and they don't actually, like, here's a blue one, right? They don't actually, like, scale, like, to show how much health they have left. It's really weird. Now, on a positive note, check out the lighting on the Marines, like, on the weapons, right? Like, I love how they're illuminating dark areas with their weapons fire, right? Like, look at the light that's caused. Look at those dynamic lights, right? And like how they light up the person on the left. See, like, his hat lights up and everything. Like, that's really good. That's really good. That's a nice little modern innovation there, right? The dynamic lighting looks great. And also that elite was just like not fun. I don't know why I died there. Oh my god, look at the pixelation. The pixelation on that bush with the blue plasma energy there was really weird. Okay. This is kind of cool. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, it must be the DLSS, right? Okay. So I do like the fact that the grunts go into a panic when you kill the elite. That's cool. That actually has like interesting tactical implications too, right? Because you can be like, okay, trying to take out the elite with all these fucking grunts running around is really annoying, so maybe I should pick off the grunts from my one and then I can deal with the elite on his own. But if you manage to take the elite out on his own first, well, that means that the grunts themselves will lose heart, essentially. Like, kind of like the demi-humans in Elden Ring. Okay. I haven't actually used the plasma rifle all that much. Okay, that was fine. Alright. Yeah, I think there's just wave after wave of these. Okay. So let's think about the enemy distribution there. Looks like we had 3 grunts, 1 or 2 jackals, and 3 elites. So 3, 1, 3. I'm gonna try to remember that because I'm curious about like how the encounter design shifts from place to place, from game to game. Okay, so at least I am feeling a little bit pressured. That's good. Thank you, that's cool. I appreciate the reinforcement there. Yeah, so it's nice having little call-outs like that, like from allies. It makes you feel like you're on a team, you know?
This is Pelican Echo 419. Anybody read me?
There you go.
Any UNSC personnel respond.
Roger, Echo 419. This is Fire Team Charlie. We read you. Is that you, Crowhammer?
Roger, Fire Team Charlie. Good to hear from you. I'm on my way.
Area clear.
I will say, like, the music, I really want to just, like, check this in the original as well. Like, I feel like I'm just hearing the same note. Dun, 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 dun. I just keep hearing this fucking note over and over again, and it never stops. If this is sounding annoying to you, I apologize, but this is what my experience is, and I need you to suffer like I'm suffering. Like, it's just so annoying. I don't remember that about the original, but maybe. Let's see. Whoa, okay. I like that. That's a cool moment. Oh, cool. See, now I'm on the back foot. Now I gotta run, take cover. Yeah, this is combat. This is combat evolved. Yeah, there we go. I could do without the, I really wish I could turn those off, the markers over enemies' heads. I don't know how, though. It's cool. Nice little dynamic music cue. Wraps everything up there. That was kind of cool. Okay. So let's see. Hammer gonna come in? Yes. Okay. Now, if I remember correctly, something really funny happens if you watch the Pelican after it takes off.
Look, more
nice
lifeboats.
sounds.
They're coming in fast.
Well
Those
implemented
lifeboats
sounds.
make it down. The Covenant are going to be right on top of them.
Get the fuck back here.
Crowhammer, we need you to disengage your Warthog. The Master Chief and I are going to see if we can save some soldiers.
Where the fuck did it go?
Roger, Cortana.
Oh, there it is. What the fuck?
Can you spare a few men?
Sure, Cortana. All right, ladies. Volunteers, step up. On the double. The rest of you get to the dropship.
Yep.
Okay, Charlie Team
Okay.
Warthog deployed. Saddle up and give them hell.
Roger, Crowhammer. Stand by to evac survivors and transport them to safety.
Okay, go.
That's affirmative. Echo 419 staying on station. Hammer out.
Oh, it's gonna stay. Okay.
Hey, quit it, Doc.
Sorry, jeez. Oh yeah, now we can do this bug.
Rude.
I'm in.
Oh, excuse me.
Okay, I'm in.
You know, sorry with you guys. Hey,
I really
Hey,
want to
man.
get out of here.
Okay. Sorry, I have too much fun with that. Oh shit, I missed the Pelican flying away. Oh no, there it goes. Okay. Anyway, yeah, so let's switch back to the original. I just want to test one thing in particular, right? What happens if I go to the gunner seat?
I'm out. You're in.
Yeah, thank you.
Survivors will probably stick close to their emergency beacons. We need to find where the lifeboats landed. My topographical scans indicate a subterranean passage nearby. It looks like our best route out of this valley.
I'm on you, Spartan.
Notice how he called me Spartan and not Chief. Or Sir. Anyway. So notice also that nothing is happening now that I'm in this fucking Jeep. Okay, I mentioned this for no particular reason. Let's see what happens if I go in the passenger seat.
No, you drive. I feel like shooting stuff.
Okay. So nothing. Okay. Let's go very quickly play up to that point, because that'll bring us to the 3-hour mark. That'll round out our stream for this evening. Slimy Orb says, John has a Naruto question for you. Do you think that the reason that Tobirama put the Uchiha in charge of the police was because they were capable, or was it bias against them, or both? I think both. I think I would agree that it is likely both. I think the idea is that they had the power, like the raw potential, so to speak, to be able to police other people, but also putting them in such a prominent... Oh, I'm sorry. Well, that's too loud. Putting them in such a prominent position means that they're going to be under quite a lot of scrutiny, and they're going to be in a public-facing position where it'll be easier to monitor them. I think that was the idea, right? So it's kind of like a double-edged sword for them. Okay, so missions, Halo, heroic, start. Yep, there you go. Okay, yep, let's just play to the same part that we were at before. Also, really wish they had brought back those classic level loading beep sounds. I think that's something that Late Night Gaming pointed out too. Okay.
We're coming in too fast. Damn, air brake failure. They flew too early. I'm losing her. Right for impact.
Chief? Chief, can you hear me? At last. Are you all right? Can you move?
So, honestly, it's not a big deal. It's really, really, really not a big deal. But I don't know that much was added through the inclusion of, like, all of that other elaborate detail in the original, in the remake, right? Like, this... Maybe you think it adds a lot. Like, I don't know. It feels like this is... I don't know. I'll stop. I feel like I'm nitpicking.
There's nothing we can do.
I will say, I think it's probably as objective as possibly as you're ever going to get to be objective about anything. That the crash scene looks much better in the remake, right?
We're lucky. The Covenant will believe that everyone
The fire, the burning trees, like how the land is scarred, like the buildup of dirt, everything. That was a great modernization. I do wonder... Okay. Yeah, I like this a lot more, actually. I obviously, like, the textures of the clouds don't really hold up, but I don't know why they changed this from like this open ocean almost area to the mountain range. Like, this feels so much more barren and like alien, creepy, weird, eerie. Yeah. And it also, I think this kind of like fucks with your sense of scale more so, because, right, like that the mountains seem and feel closer and help give you a more clear sense of scale, whereas this is a little bit more abstract in that regard. Harder to place the distance, so it makes everything feel a little bit bigger. It makes the ring itself feel bigger too. If I'm not mistaken... No, actually, I'll stop for now. Slimy Orb says, I think there's an additional aspect that isn't thought about if any Uchiha cause problems, because it would be an internal conflict, making them want to not interfere with what Tobirama wanted. Yeah, I think,
Covenant dropship inbound. They must be looking for survivors. I recommend immediate evasion.
Sorry, I get distracted. Well, can you elaborate on that a little bit more? Because I think I'm inclined to agree with you, but I also feel like, I'm not exactly sure what your thoughts are on what Tobirama wanted specifically. So we got the Banshee. Two of them. Okay, so the Banshee is pretty glitchy, right? Like, it's not perfect in terms of its pathing or whatever, but it is actively shooting at me. It's actively a threat. It's tracking me through this canyon, or through this approach. Now, I wonder if this is actually a little unfair, because it's like, what am I supposed to do, right? Like, I'm being harassed by these fucking things. But now it's kind of pulling me into the next combat encounter. Okay. You're straightforward. It's fine. Let's see. To get back over here, gotta get into some cover. Okay. Yeah, I feel like I have to be pretty careful around the elites and switch between my weapons and stuff. Oh, so the Banshees just leave. Okay. So the Banshees were... Okay. I guess the Banshees were there to kind of like funnel you into this ambush almost, like in this pass, and then they just take off. So that choreography, it was completely fucking lost in the remake. That's just like not a thing anymore. Okay. So they just like totally fucked up that scene. This is okay, hang on a second. A bit of an interesting change that they made that cliff face so dramatic. I wonder if can you get back up if you wanted to? Like, okay. So jumping is obviously has a different feel to it in this game, but let's see. Maybe not. Your average player isn't probably going to push that too hard. I do feel like the
We should check to see if there are any survivors.
something about these cliff faces being more like sheer, like there aren't like all these beautiful trees growing out of them, makes me feel more hemmed in. Makes me feel a little bit more claustrophobic. Okay, that was fine. I mean, it's kind of hard to identify why, but it feels like enemies are a little bit better spread out, and they're just like moving more fluidly. I don't know how to describe it. Slimy says if an Uchiha started going against Konoha due to Tobirama, the other Uchiha would have to deal with it. 1 second. To deal with it, not only having... I'm sorry, wow, my brain just totally voided out there. Let me try that again. Slimy Orb says, like, if an Uchiha started going against Konoha due to Tobirama, the other Uchiha would have to deal with it, not only having them fight over other Uchiha, making them potentially weaker, but also hurt pride. Yeah, that's a good point, too, right? They'd be forced to put their loyalty to family and clan up against their potential loyalty to each, to the village itself. So, maybe that was part of the maybe that was part of the deal, right? Is that they wanted to say like, okay, if you really are going to be part of this village, you have to put the village above anything else. So we will give you this power and it's significant, but due to its very nature, it will inevitably lead to you, like, if any one of you fucks up, or even if we like fabricate a story about you fucking up, right? Like we just say, oh, this Uchiha did a crime, then it's going to be up to you to deal with that. And that's going to, one or two things is going to happen. Thing one is going to be that like they are tested, improve their loyalty, and then we get like full on commitment, like no going back to the village. Or there is dissent and conflict within the ranks as they have to weigh the cost of fighting their own kin versus the village, like protecting the village, blah blah blah. And then I'm sure that will cause strife and conflict and you know, back and forth within their community, and then that will just lead to them further infighting and disintegrating, which is kind of what happened. So really, Tobirama kind of checkmated them and put them into this impossible position where sooner or later their clan was going to fall apart, and he could just like watch that happen from a safe distance, essentially. And he would have casus belli, meaning like reason to declare war, from many different angles if he needed to just like wipe them out. So it's actually kind of nefarious what he set up.
Real trouble. It's a mess, sir. We're scattered all over this valley. We called for evac, but until you showed up, I thought we were cooked.
Don't worry, Sergeant. We'll stay
attack arrives.
Heads up! I got a Covenant dropship heading in. Over here.
So important to note, I think that one of them actually called you Master Chief. I think in the remake you had one character say like, "Hey, it's good to see you, sir," and then the other character immediately said, "It's good to see you, sir." But here they like run and like I was like, where the fuck are these people talking to me from? Because they were just like in the grass somewhere. But here they actually approached me and they were like, "Hello, Master Chief. It is good to see you, the chief of all masters." It's like it feels much more human, right? The civilians or like the crewmen are like running around with their yeah, okay, so they're just getting into position. It was nice to see the it was nice to see them all start to run towards the enemy when they showed up. I don't think we got a Needler yet in the other game. Oh man, okay. Oh, what the fuck was that? He did like a little taunt animation there. That's cool. Okay, yeah, so like the assault rifle feels fun to use. It's also like pretty inconsistent though. Like it's not, I'm not registering most of those hits. So there's a clear like balance and trade-off between different weaponry that has to be kept in mind. Nice that they have some health packs up here. I'll take one of those, please. Personally, I don't really miss the fucking whatchamacallit, the health pack system all that much, but I know some people feel pretty strongly about it. Okay. So also notice that there's no music playing right now, right? So like I guess it feels maybe a little less dramatic, but it's also more tense, and you can like use the extra space in the audio mix to just like listen for these characters who might be stalking or flanking you, just like lying in wait. Nice.
More of them.
Hey, those voiceover lines seem to be working just fine. I think what happened is they just added a bunch of new voiceover lines. Sorry. So the I think I tried to explain this on a previous stream, but basically the allied characters like the Marines and stuff in Campaign Evolved, the way that they handled the voiceover for those was they imported all of the audio files for them. I think all of them, maybe not 100%, but something like mostly all of them for the Marines from Halo 1, right? They just imported them, brought them into the game, and just took them up. And then also they brought in all of the voice lines for all of the Marines in Halo Reach. Now, those characters in Halo Reach had squad dynamics and context and things that were not present in this game. And they had different amounts of variations for certain lines, and different categories of lines that may or may not play depending on what's happening, right? Essentially, it was more advanced in Halo Reach, and there were more individual characters. I think there was like 4 male, 2 female, whereas I think there's just 4 male in this game, something like that, right? I might be getting the numbers slightly wrong. But as a result, you essentially have two different games worth of voiceover from 2 different games with different context and different like levels of detail that are just kind of jammed in on top of each other with no real, like, obviously the team worked to try to make the correct voiceovers play in the correct context, but they're just not designed from the ground up to be part of the same set, you know what I mean? But, oh my god, like this Elite feels like so much better to fight. He's like dodging, he's circling, he's lithe, he's nimble, he's taking cover, he's backing off. Like this guy feels like a threat, and you can feel like he can kick my ass. Okay, now I'm coming up behind him. He sees me. As opposed to the other one who was just like standing there, and I was right next to him. I love that that a few rounds of his weapon fire off after he dies too. Like he's just sort of gripping the trigger. Okay, so I do think we heard this musical cue. Oh, sorry, one second. Slimy Orb says if an Uchiha started going against Konoha due to Tobirama, the other Uchiha would have to deal with it. Yeah, okay, we talked about that. It seems the AI is better in this game than the remake. Yeah, 100%. Like, I don't know what the fuck happened. It's so much better. And there's like way fewer individual enemies on screen too, right? Like, remember that one encounter on the pillar up bottom? There were like 13 enemies we counted in that corridor. Now this is just a fresh drop from this one drop ship, and there's maybe 8 of them, I think. There might be some more. I'll count after the stream. But also, like, I feel like I'm getting pressured, like, up the slope. I'm like, so that is one, like, clear advantage of the health kit system is that, like, okay, when you come into a space, you identify where your health recharge is going to come from, right? And you're like, okay, I have a position that I've identified that I need to fall back on in case I run out. You just, like, that all gets eliminated if you take the health pack system out. Now, I don't think the health pack system is flawed. Excuse me, is flawless. I think it is flawed, and I think there's some issues that come up with it later on, but at the same time it's also like, I don't know, worth considering the implications of including it versus not. Making sure you design around it. Oh yeah, so there's a dynamic escalation of the music here as we're getting closer to beating the encounter. Nice.
Anybody reading me? Repeat. Any UNSC personnel respond.
Oh, that fade out was much better too. It was a nice, quiet little fade out as opposed to like the cutoff that it had in the other version of the game. Yeah, that was better. And for whatever reason, I don't know why, but like the persistent dun 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 dun, like it was much less annoying this time around.
If those lifeboats make it down, right on top of it.
Okay.
We need you to disengage your warthog. The Master Chief and I are going to see if we can save some soldiers.
I thought for whatever reason that those were new additions, but no, that's awesome to see.
Okay, Charlie Team, warthog deployed. Saddle up and give 'em hell.
Did she say that in the remake?
Evac survivors and transport them to safety.
That's affirmative. Echo 419, staying on station. Bullhammer out.
Yeah, if memory serves, there's... Oh, wait, no. Okay, so I couldn't just, like, run up into it. Okay. So, this is the moment of truth. This is, Notice also how it gets, like, nice and quiet sometimes. Well, okay, bad example. But let's see. I want to test something.
Kick ass!
Can I get in, please? Thank you. Okay, well... Alright. So the Marine just fucking ran away. So I was gonna say that there was something about this game that I remember... That's really impressive for the time, actually, like, all the pieces of dirt getting kicked up. Okay, where's the Marine? Okay, there we go. Okay, so... I might have misremembered.
Game on!
Okay. I might have misremembered.
Fire loud!
Okay, so I think I'll stop here for now, but for some reason, I thought the Marines could drive the vehicles and you could take the gunner seat. But it looks like that's not happening here. So unless that happens elsewhere, then yeah. That might just be me, like, fusing a memory with Halo 2 or whatever, because I know for a fact you can take the gunner seat and be driven around later. Let me just see for 1 second, and then we'll call it a night. Warthog feels fun to drive, though. You think if I take shotgun, they'll drive to Slimy Orb? Maybe, yeah. I thought I just tried that, and oh, voice crack, and they didn't do anything. But let me just drive ahead a little bit to the next section, and we'll see.
survivors will probably stick close to their emergency beacons. We need to find where the lifeboats landed. This cave is not a natural formation. Someone built it, so it must lead somewhere. I've hacked into the Covenant battle network.
Oh, this is with the bridge and everything. Okay, yeah.
Data on unencrypted channels.
Okay, yeah. So I'll save this for next time. I did want to mention real quick. I really didn't like the way that they handled Cortana's voiceover. When she was saying like, "We're gonna go save some soldiers," versus in this game she's like, "Okay, we're gonna save some soldiers," right? Like, it's subtle, but there's a very distinct difference in tone between like, "Okay, we are cautiously optimistic and we're resolving ourselves for the next mission," versus like, "Oh, you better watch out. I'm going to save some soldiers. Fuck you. I'm going to steal your car keys. Fuck you. I spilled milk on your like, your fucking homework." Like, it's just like there's a level of like Marvel. That was such a weird fucking analogy. You know, the old classic spilled milk on your homework. I don't know where the fuck that came from. Anyway, there is something kind of sassy and smarmy about the way that she talks in this version of the game that I don't know, like, we're in a fucking war zone. Like, the human race is going to be exterminated. This might not be the time for quips and smirks, you know? This might not be the time to be so fucking smug. A little desperation, a little anxiety, a little somberness is also okay. They seem to have kind of pivoted away from that, and I don't know why. Actually, I think I do know why. I think it's because actually I shouldn't comment further right now. We will talk about it more on on another stream. But yeah, anyway, thank you. Oh, wait, 1 second. Slimy Herb says, also thinking about it, the Uchiha bias is even greater due to the Hyuga not having to deal with anything with clan stuff to be in Konoha like Tobirama wanted with the Uchiha. Yeah, does the Hyuga, I mean, like, the Hyuga do have that weird, like, you know, literally turning people into slaves thing under pain of death. So maybe Tobirama should have watched over them a little bit more closely as well. But I don't know, maybe they had less of, I mean, like, they might not have had as brutal and bitter a rivalry with the Uchiha, and probably didn't keep fighting to the last, or like, you know, Madara held a grudge and like kept on fighting even after his clan decided to join the village and stuff like that. So there was more complexities to it. I think at that point Hashirama had already kind of brought the other clans into the fold, so the Hyuga might have just demonstrated themselves to be like more amenable earlier on. But yeah, like, there's a lot of shady shit that went on between a lot of different clans in the village. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed that. I definitely am finding the process interesting. I think that eventually I do want to kind of go through the rest of the campaign and continue evaluating stuff, but let's see what you guys think. Leave me a comment if you have any advice, or if you have any like thoughts that you want to share or anything like that. But yeah, so in other news, I'm not exactly sure what to talk about next with regards to Naruto. I was gonna talk to Walkie Talkie about the Sage of Thick Calves debate they did, but I listened back to a good chunk of it, and I honestly is just like, I'm just tired, man. You know, like, I'm tired of going over these arguments time and time and time again. I'm tired of, well, no, let me rephrase that. I don't mind going over arguments again if they can lead to a productive or interesting discussion. It's just like, it gets fatiguing to hear the apologetics and the rhetoric used over and over again, and then to feel like there's nothing you can do to change it, I guess. And so when I listened back to it, I was just kind of exhausted by it, and I was like, you know what? I don't really feel like doing this anymore. Like, I think I've said my piece, and so I apologize to Walkie Talkie because I didn't want to like leave them hanging, but at the same time, I was not having fun listening to the arguments again, and so I'm gonna try to think of something else that we might be able to have a bigger discussion about. But in the meantime, Sunday might be another gaming stream, and then we'll kind of see where we go from there. Regardless, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. Hope you enjoyed the show, and I will look forward to seeing you guys on Sunday. Bye-bye.